3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show yet Nantatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to a Tuesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, X, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. I got Manny Rodriguez. I got Moist Mike. We are rocking and rolling all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time today. Tarek Skubal, the all-star, the ace of the Detroit Tigers, are right now the odds-on favorite to win the AL Cy Young Award. He is going to stop by in an hour 20 from now at 4:20 p.m. Eastern, 1:20 p.m. Pacific today. We'll do some basketball today. We will do a ton of football. We'll get into some college football. But I got to start with Joe Burrow, who I think is the second best quarterback in football. Number 1 would obviously be Patrick Mahomes. Number 2 would be Joe Burrow. And then I have Josh Allen in at number 3 and Lamar Jackson in at 4. But Joe Burrow was on with Part of My Take. And Joe Burrow talked about the NFL schedule potentially going to 18 games down the road. It is currently at a 17-game schedule. We know that did increase a few years ago. And Joe Burrow threw out an interesting idea where part of it I'm like, okay, and then the other part I'm saying, no way, no chance this will ever happen. And it actually pertains to moving the Pro Bowl. So let's listen up to the Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow on with Part of My Take a few days ago.
What do you think the perfect football schedule is in terms of weeks and bye weeks?
How many games are we playing?
You tell me.
18.
18. Got to have 2 bye weeks.
I like
and I
that.
think it'd be cool to do a normal bye week schedule that it is now. Like, have it spread out. But then, like, week 13, do, like, the Pro Bowl break, where you're doing, like, the 7-on-7 and all the skills challenges like the NBA does, because I think that would get more ratings for the Pro Bowl.
Yes.
And then it would also give everybody that bye week going into, like, the last 6 games of the year.
So let's approach those 2 topics, and let's attack both of those 2 topics. Number 1, the idea of the NFL expanding from 17 regular season games to 18 regular season games. I'm against it. Now, there are some times where you fight something and you wonder, is the energy that you're exerting into fighting something, is it really worth it? So I will say this. I will wave the white flag, and I am totally cognizant of the fact that the NFL, who always lectures about player safety this, player safety that, they come off very hypocritical because they don't really give a rat's ass about player safety when it comes to making more money. And the NFL, we know they're going to add another regular season game. They'll chop off another game of the preseason, and that will be that. I don't know when that's going to occur. Even you could tell by Joe Burrow's answer, like, what's the ideal NFL schedule? How many games are we playing? Everyone knows it's the worst kept secret. We don't know when it's going to happen, but it's not a matter of if it's going to happen. There's no doubt about it that eventually the NFL is going to go to 18 regular season games. I don't think that's a good thing for the league, by the way, because there used to be a time, even when it was 16 regular season games, where we would talk about the first 4 weeks of the season as an extension of the preseason once you alter and you limit what you could actually do in training camp in no contact or limited contact, take it away 2 days when you gear up for the season. So the NFL product, when it was under 16 regular season games, for a while, the first 4 weeks, you see like a lot of teams that looked like they were still in preseason, and the quality of play was not at the level that it should be for a league that is the creme de la creme league and is the best sport that we have in America. But ever since a few years ago, they elected to increase just by 1 regular season game, we have not only seen the extension of the preseason be 4 weeks, it kind of feels like now mid-October, 6 weeks into the season, sometimes even 7 weeks, through October, and maybe even 8 weeks, that NFL really gets going in November, where you start to see the teams look like the way that they should actually look like. And I do believe when they inevitably go to 18 regular season games, you're going to be getting more football, but you're not going to be getting better football. And I do believe it's going to continue to expand, where it turns into the NFL prioritizing quantity over quality. And I do think that's a mistake. But I could scream here and I could bitch and complain, right, that the NFL shouldn't go to 18 regular season games and have all my litany of reasons why. I'm going to lose that fight. Because the NFL has always proven to be about the bottom line, money, 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 money. That's why they do that. And the preseason, they don't find it as a moneymaker. So you could say, oh, it's the same amount of games, and we're just getting rid of the preseason, and we're just moving that over into the regular season. So that's one part that I will already, and trust me, I have no problem usually fighting. Rarely do I turn down a good fight. But in this case, it's almost as if I'm just screaming, and I'd be screaming into the air or screaming into my pillow. And I know that nothing's going to actually change because Roger Goodell, the owners, and everyone, they're going to eventually go to 18 regular season games. But the thing I don't know if I want to scream today. Coming off a little vacation, wasn't here on Monday. We're only here for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. I'm off on Friday. And Manny, first off, don't roll your eyes and be like, bro, look at this guy just taking all this vacation.
Where's this guy going?
I'm allowed to have a certain amount of days. I don't usually take my days off in football season. I take my days off in the summer because I'll tell you why. It's nice out. And I like to be outside, and I like to enjoy the outdoors. So I'll take my vacation. You just sit there and you shut up, all right? Because I did not appreciate you rolling your eyes and basically vacation shaming me.
I've been here since 5 a.m. I'll walk out.
Okay. You think you're the first person in the history of this network to work a long day?
Yes.
I have done 8 hours on air here, and then before that, the appetizer was 3 hours down the hall. Okay? So you're not the first person to have a long working day here at the Infinity Sports Network, but we do appreciate your efforts, and we appreciate you stepping up with Stu being sick.
I'm just envious that I don't have vacation days.
Oh. Should I start the campaign, Manny, for a full-time job?
That'd be nice.
Get Manny paid, all right? 855-212-4227. That's where you could donate to the Manny Rodriguez Fund. But the part where I will yell and I will complain is something that Joe Burrow said. If you want to tell me there's going to be 18 regular season games and then they should add a bye week, okay. That's probably something that the NFL should concede and they should allow, because it not only does it expand the season another week, it would push the Super Bowl into President's Day weekend. So then everyone would be off Monday, which, quite frankly, that should be the day after the Super Bowl should be a national holiday anyway. But just because you need to add another bye week, which I'm fine because it at least puts on the front that the NFL cares about player safety, I don't think it needs to be a universal bye week that incorporates the Pro Bowl. Like, if you want to give everyone off in week 13 and that's everyone's extra bye week, okay, I could live with that. I don't think the NFL would ever do that because they want games each and every week. I don't think they just punt on 1 week just so everybody gets off. I think they'll just meticulously calculate into the schedule 2 bye weeks, and that's on the schedule makers, Mike North and company, and everyone that does a great job at that in the NFL. But this idea that Joe Burrow threw out there, that now we need to move the Pro Bowl to week 13 and give everyone a universal week off, it's an extremely flawed thinking and a flawed idea by Joe Burrow. And quite frankly, it makes no sense. In this world, when the NFL just prints money and prints money and prints money, the NFL doesn't have to have a victory for everything. And in most sports, the Pro Bowl or the All-Star game doesn't have the same luster as it once does. In football, their biggest problem is how physical this sport is. Even when they do now the flag football and things like that, there's a risk to get injured. And I don't think teams are going to be fine with having their players go, regardless of what the format is, if there's a skills competition or whatever, go to a spot, Honolulu, Las Vegas, wherever, and participate in the Pro Bowl during the season. But even if teams are fine with that, I don't know. Samter, you've been around for a long time. If an NFL player gets the choice of getting a full universal week off or going to some lousy, irrelevant Pro Bowl that no one, quite frankly, cares about, what do you think that player is going to choose? What do you think that player is going to do?
I mean, it's no different than in other sports where the guys opt out of the All-Star weekend because they want a break. And it's no different than the Pro Bowl now where half the league opts out anyway. And you actually end up losing all the players on the 2 best teams because the Super Bowl teams can't even participate. So at least now, Patrick Mahomes, because the Chiefs are going to go to 27 consecutive Super Bowls, at least now you can get Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes.
But those guys aren't even going to go. They're not going to go. Why would they go?
Because they haven't been to a Pro Bowl in like 4 years because they just are always in the Super Bowl.
So
Go Chiefs.
Enough with the Chiefs. That's let me tell you, there's a lot of things that annoy me as of late. Your Chiefs fandom and this Fugazi fandom may be at the top of the list. But I digress.
Right. It's going to get awful during the back-to-back-to-back.
Well, you got to get a tattoo. Mike Pinnell said if you wanted to be a Chiefs fan, it doesn't be permanent. But you have to get some sort of drawing on you that does talk about the Kansas City Chiefs because that's what you agreed to do. We don't forget. We keep receipts here on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. But what I will say is this. I don't think players, there's already the Pro Bowl now is so stupid where not only that, it's like Mac Jones was a Pro Bowler. Think about how, in his rookie year, think about how many people had to say no until you got to Mac Jones. So there's just no value to it. And it's amazing, and I think it's done in good nature, where it's like, okay, something stinks. Let's try to find a way. Everyone's a whiz kid. Everyone has this creative idea. Maybe we should find a way to fix something. Why do we need to fix the Pro Bowl? It exists. It's not popular. It's not successful. So just let it be. All right? I'm not going to be like the Beatles and start singing, let it be, let it be, let it be. But just let it be. It makes no sense to move the Pro Bowl in season to week 13 and you give everyone a week off. We would be taking a week off so players can rest and then we could also see the Pro Bowl or some skills competition. Who is tuning into that? No one's tuning into that because why people love football is because of the passion and the physicality and the physical nature of the sport. That's not the Pro Bowl. So just stop with trying to alter the NFL schedule to accommodate the Pro Bowl. That to me, and I love Burrow. I'm a huge Joe Burrow fan, and he's entitled to his opinion. But I would love to get, Jerry Jones on the phone, or Robert Kraft on the phone, or Arthur Blank, who we saw at the Super Bowl, on the phone. Whatever owner, and bring up that idea to them, I think they would laugh us off the phone. You're going to stop an entire week of the season in week 13 to accommodate the Pro Bowl, where, let's be real, they could put the Pro Bowl on in my backyard, and I would close the blinds, right? I wouldn't even watch. I wouldn't even care. Because what does the Pro Bowl accomplish? All right, it's some accolades, it's some awards for guys that make it, and 50% of them don't even want to go. So I'm not irate about losing the fight of going to 18 games. It's just like the college football playoff. We know you started at 4, and then they're going to 12, and soon they're going to have 30 teams in the college football playoff, and it's stupid. This would be it's the NFL. I think the product and the quality would not be as great as 18. It already struggles in the regular season with 17 games, but you're not going to make a move. I'm fine with the other bye week, but you're not going to make a move to then move the Pro Bowl to week 13 and give everybody off. So that's where I'm at. And I think more players would rather choose not to go to the Pro Bowl and enjoy the week off rather than, let me go to Hawaii, take some photos, or go to Vegas and take some photos and get honored in an honor that, quite frankly, now in the year of 2024 is meaningless. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Do you want an 18-game NFL season? Samter, you are someone, just working with you for now about a year, on a daily basis. You are someone with sports where I feel like more times than not when you get to these issues and you make them vague, you are more. Now, you like my niece Raquel. When she gets something good to eat with food, she sits there and she's like, more. She just wants more and more food, all that stuff. Or if you sing Wheels on the Bus, you stop, you sing the song once and then she sits there for an hour. You could relate having a young child, Santa, and it's like more. You are someone like that. You are the baby that's like more. Do you think more here is good for the NFL? Because I've made it clear, I do not.
No, I don't think so. But I also think that the NFL has sacrificed the product so many times whether it comes to safety or, getting rid of offense and the rules and getting rid of off-season programs where guys aren't practicing as much anymore. The product is such junk now anyway compared to what
I wouldn't say it's junk.
Compared to what we grew up with. It's not as good of a product as it used to be.
Fair.
So going from 17 to 18 isn't going to make it much worse.
The players, though, are bigger and faster now.
Sure.
That's the biggest difference.
Sure, but the game itself is not as good because they can't practice as often. There's too many rules.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
The referee, there's just too much stuff in the way.
You don't know
of
what
just
a catch
playing
is.
football.
You don't know how to hit the quarterback.
Yeah,
you don't know what
there's
pass
just too much
interference
stuff in the way.
is.
So if you asked me this like 5 years ago, I would have said hell no. Now I say who cares? Whatever. It's just an extra game of football. The game is already diminished. And just for clarification, I'm not more on everything. I'm just more on college football playoff. College basketball, less. NFL, I'm down for less.
No.
Baseball, less. So I'm not more on everything. Money? No, I mean, I don't make anything anyway, so it doesn't matter. Less, more, even, it doesn't matter. I'm still
days?
for it.
Vacation?
Yeah, vacation more. More vacation.
It is the Zach
What's
Gelb
that?
Show. Well, say that again?
What's that? Vacation days.
Yeah. Who's this guy working with us tonight? I don't even know who he is. This guy, I recognized him with facial hair. You look completely different without facial hair. You look. I'm going to give you some advice here. You can thank me later.
Yeah, go ahead.
You look so much better without facial hair.
Do I now?
You look younger. Your skin is glistening right now. You got to hit these dating apps right now.
I do. I mean, I'll take
You
your
look
advice.
1,000% better than what you look like for the last 3-4 months.
I very much appreciate it, I guess. I mean,
and you don't have to keep on worrying about that comb that you would bring around because you probably misplaced that comb for your mustache.
I
numerous
just saw
times.
it. I just saw it reaching for my pen. It's in my backpack right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's
Big
like when you leave your phone at home or you leave your phone on in your locker here maybe, and then you're walking around. You're like, "Where's my phone?" And you just keep on digging into your pocket. So, do you want 18 games in the NFL regular season, and should they then make a universal bye week in Week 13 to incorporate the Pro Bowl? I don't want 18 games, but there's going to be 18 games, and then the universal off week for the Pro Bowl would be a waste of time. All right, when we come on back in 5 minutes, we are gearing up for the college football season. We have 3 people here, yours truly, Manny, and Samter. Who is the most fascinating player in college football entering this season? We'll give our answers when we return in 5 minutes.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Infinity Sports Network. It is the Zach Gelb Show. We are gearing up for the college football season. I just want to go around the room right now, and I just want to do a quick little exercise. And you can't use the same school or you can't use the same player. But I want to talk about who we all think is the most fascinating player in college football entering this season. And I'm going to start at Texas, and I'm going to say it's Quinn Ewers. You know, Quinn Ewers, it's kind of crazy. Arch Manning got there last year, and we all thought that was going to be like a big storyline where Arch Manning inevitably was going to get on the field. And Quinn Ewers, who got hurt 2 years ago in that game up against Alabama, had a successful season. And then going into this past year, he was not only deemed the guy at Texas, but if you recall, Arch Manning wasn't even the backup. He was the third string quarterback because you had Malik Murphy, who's now with Manny Diaz at Duke, as Malik Murphy is transferred to Duke. So I remember Fozzie Whitaker probably like this time last year pointing out that even if something happened to Quinn Ewers, you would see Malik Murphy getting on the field. Now, Quinn Ewers got hurt once again, but it didn't get Arch Manning on the field because of what we explained. And also, Quinn Ewers had a phenomenal season last year, and Texas not only won their conference, but they also got into the college football playoff where they ended up losing in the semifinals. So you look at Texas heading into this season, I think, Samter, that it's kind of remarkable, and it's really a testament to Steve Sarkisian, who right away last year came out and announced that Quinn Ewers was going to be the starter and made it clear that this was Quinn Ewers' team. And in a passionate fan base like Texas, I know it also helps when Quinn Ewers has that success and it doesn't become a big storyline, because if he didn't play well, then people be like, okay, let's see Malik. And then if Malik did not play well, then it would be like, okay, we need Arch. But two things. It's kind of wild to me that the Arch Manning storyline hasn't been that big of a deal as we thought it would be. You know, I'm not going to compare it directly to Tebow, but I mean as if you have the Tebow sycophant who just wanted to see Tebow in the NFL, even if it didn't make sense to play. Clearly, Arch is highly thought of as a college quarterback, where Tebow, you knew, as great of a college quarterback he was going to be, was never going to amount to really much anything as a daily starter in the NFL. But that Arch craze, it is kind of surreal to me that it's never overtaken Texas. And not only that, Samter, I respect Arch Manning for this, and it makes you want to root for him. It's very Jordan Love-like, where when Jordan Love got drafted by the Green Bay Packers, like, he did nothing wrong. Arch Manning committing to Texas, he did nothing wrong. But there were people in front of him, and Jordan Love kind of just shut his mouth for 2 years. Did a few interviews here and there, but always said the right thing and always knew he was under the spotlight. And you just increasingly want to root for someone more. Arch Manning, in this era of the transfer portal and NIL money, he could have left Texas this past offseason, especially because a lot of us thought when he first got there, hey, Quinn Ewers will play 1 year, then he'll be forced out. But now Quinn is coming back for another season at Texas. And Eli told us at the Super Bowl, Eli Manning, his uncle, Arch Manning's uncle, that he's not transferring. And it's kind of a moot point, and he has stayed true to his word. And he even did an interview the other day. It was with Larry Holder, who covers the Saints and the Louisiana sports scene, and we know the Manning name and how much power it has in Louisiana. So Arch Manning said to Larry Holder of The Athletic, it's tough because you want to be out there playing with your boys. Manning told Larry Holder of The Athletic, reading it via Pro Football Talk, but it came down to just realizing there's nowhere else I would want to be, and it was my dream to play at Texas. I'm going to stick it out and play there eventually. So that's the part of the story to me that's crazy, is how we have not seen Arch Manning mania and Manning mania kind of take off as we thought it was going to be when he initially announced that he was going to go play for Hookham at Texas.
Yeah, and honestly, like you just said, it's all about Arch, right? A lot of other players would have either transferred or made a big stink about it, or,
it's the number one guy, too.
Yeah, or leaked that he's unhappy to the media or something. No, his family, his brother, his uncle, his father, all of it, they're all just kind of saying the right things, and it just shows a level of maturity. Now, my hope is, while he's doing all the right things and saying all the right things and not saying all the right things, I hope that this doesn't stunt his career, in the sense that once he gets the opportunity, all eyes are going to be on him, and hopefully this doesn't hinder him from becoming a true legitimate NFL star.
Well, so here's the thing, and I remember, actually, it's funny that Marco's in today for ACK. I remember when Arch Manning first committed to Texas, and Marco kind of pointed out how calculated the Manning family was going to be. They want a chance to compete, but I think the Manning family, in the back of their mind, knowing how important it is in developing quarterbacks, know just because you play early isn't always the best thing. And they knew for sure he'd be on the bench for 1 year. I don't know if they knew for 2 years. But Marco, you even kind of brought it up when we went to the extreme about this, now 2 years ago or more than a year ago, that they'd even be fine if it's 2 years, and then you go into your junior season, that's your first 2 years as a starter, then you're draft eligible, and if you think you need more time, then you can come back for one more season.
100%. Again, we're in this world that we have to see it. We have to see it. We have to see it. When you're the actual player, and when you have an entire family that have all played, they realize, not to mention, we also look at the competition that Arch Manning faced in high school, which by all counts seems like it wasn't the greatest. He needs to develop. And the best way to develop is in practice, learning, going through it. He's learned the plays from the crib. It's actually getting the repetition with the speed, so that when you're out there and all eyes are on you, you're 100% ready. I don't think they thought he was ready. And I think they're smart enough to realize, if you're ready at 19, you'll be ready at 21. What's it going to do? Is it really going to hurt you? No.
I don't think so.
It's never going to hurt you to be more prepared. At what point in your life does it hurt you to be over-prepared? To me, it's asinine. It's getting to the point. We like to see, because we want to see guys play. The second we hear their name,
immediate
we
society.
want to see it. But I think they're smart enough to
gratification.
They are smart enough to realize it can actually, Samp, you mentioned stunt. It can stunt your growth, because it can get to your confidence and eat away at you mentally when you fail for the first time. You need to be prepared, so that you're ready, and that when you get failure, you can handle it.
And also, this is such a hyped up prospect. I always think it's weird, from a media standpoint, when we talk about kids that are in high school and that are a year or two even before they could go to college. I always just find that bizarre. But most of the time when we talk about those players, again, there's people that follow recruiting and that's their job, and I have no problem with that. But when we're like televising high school games and stuff like that, now you got to have a last name and people got to know who you are, and people knew the Manning last name. But I always found that conversation to be bizarre. And when you get thrown in, it's not like Arch is getting thrown into the shallow end with floaties on. He's getting thrown into the deep end at Texas. And you not only need to be able to float, you need to be able to swim at a rapid pace because people expect so much out of it.
That's the thing, because the second he plays, he's expected to deliver a national title. It's not just be good. It's not be, you know what, maybe you can go into the best. You need to be
number one overall pick.
Top.
When your uncles are Peyton and Eli, and
that's
your
it.
grandfather is Archie, it's like obviously
that's it. And you were supposed to be the best out of the group. You were the most hyped out of the group. That's what everybody said. No. The best one's still coming. Don't forget. Yeah. I know we know what Payne won 2 Super Bowls and all the MVPs and everything. Don't forget about Arch.
Yeah, I always laughed at the hyping that they would say that he could be better than Peyton, but
again, it's out of control. And I think the entire Manning family, who have not done anything that they haven't thought through and through, they all got together and they all know. Now that doesn't mean that it wasn't Arch's decision. It's your decision of where you want to go, where you're comfortable, what you want to do. But I think they were all smart enough to realize sitting and watching is not bad for your growth. If anything, it's going to allow you to not only learn college life, because that's something that anyone that goes to college, if you go away at 18, your first year, freshman year, you got to learn that. You got to learn to be on your own. You got to learn to do it with hype, because it's not just an 18-year-old kid that wants to go out and drink and hang and fun. You're doing it as Arch Manning. So he's got to learn that there were so many things that Arch Manning needs to be able to be comfortable with and learn, not just on the field, but in life. And I think the entire Manning clan was like, you know what? Let's do this slowly.
Now, to your point, Sam, to the reason why I did say I find Quinn Ewers the most fascinating player in college football, because there's still a question of what Arch Manning can be. And there's still that curiosity factor of when are we going to see him play? And it may not be until next year. But Quinn Ewers has had injury history the last 2 seasons. And now Malik Murphy's no longer there. So if Quinn Ewers plays balls out, great, okay. We saw what he could do last year and how it continues to bring Texas back, and it's a fun story. But if he does get hurt, then everything we're just talking about, there's no guy in front of Arch Manning now, and now you would then get to see him play. And that, to me, with Texas now moving into the SEC, would be a whole lot of fun, even though you don't want to see Quinn Ewers gets hurt. So, Sam, let me ask you, your most fascinating player entering college football this season if I take Quinn Ewers off the board? You got to turn on your microphone. You good?
My mic does not appear to be working. I'm holding down the button. Hopefully this will continue to work. With that said, I'll give you
talking about a sinking ship around here.
I know.
Honestly. Can't even get a microphone on. What, do you not pay the bills?
While I'll give my most interesting guy, but real quick, as interesting as Quinn Ewers is, I think he's only interesting because of Arch Manning. So Arch isn't starting. I think Arch is more interesting to me than Quinn. Quinn's only interesting because we want to see what that means for Arch Manning.
Sure, but he could win a Heisman this year, right?
Yeah, but the Quinn Ewers interest.
People forget he was the number 1 prospect.
Yeah, no, and great. And maybe after he cut his hair, he just feels a little bit more boring to me. Arch Manning is so much more interesting to me than Quinn Ewers
Maybe
is.
we should have kept his microphone muted.
Yeah. No, but for me, there's no question that, we talked about another heir to the throne of college football with the Mannings. For me, it's Shedeur Sanders.
That's fair.
With everything that's going on in Colorado, Dion and Coach Prime, he's the most interesting person in college football. And obviously then anything around him is the most interesting thing. Shedeur Sanders could be the first overall pick. He could be a 3rd-round pick. We have no idea what Shedeur Sanders really is as a prospect. And it's going to be a bleep show there in Colorado. Good or bad, it's going to be interesting every week.
Oh, so if it's good, why would it be a bleep show?
Well, it's going to be a circus, maybe a circus.
Okay.
A circus could be fun. A circus could also be wild animals eating, people in the crowd. Who knows? So Colorado is going to be that, and it's going to be interesting. And Shedeur Sanders is the head of the snake on that team when it comes down to the players.
So I'm a big Shedeur Sanders fan, and his offensive line was terrible last year. Remember, Travis Hunter got early before the season started. I saw Shedeur Sanders do more with less last year, but that also puts him at risk to get injuries and things like that. But there is a big question of who could be the number 1 quarterback taken in the draft, and Shedeur is in that conversation. So, yeah, there's no doubt. I don't know what Colorado's going to be. We'll get into that later. I think a successful season for them is to go be bowl eligible. But last year they were 3-0 to start the season, and they won 1 game down the stretch. So I still don't know what Colorado's going to be, but there's no doubt about it that the entire Sanders family, and then you also throw Travis Hunter into that, they're big, definitely a big level of intrigue. Manny, let's send us home here. Who's the most fascinating player in college football with Quinn Ewers off the board and Shedeur Sanders off the board?
I'll give you Dylan Gabriel. He's headed to
I like that.
He's headed to Oregon this season. It's his third school, 4 seasons of over 3,000 yards, including last season, which he also threw 30 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, and he almost won the Heisman last year. So I'll give you Dylan Gabriel.
My other person here would actually be Carson Beck. And we've all thrown out quarterbacks. Now, it's not just because there's rumors that Carson Beck is now dating one of the Cavender twins, Hannah Cavender. And I saw a TikTok about this a few days ago, not the relationship with Carson Beck. I don't know the difference between the Cavender twins. I think one is Haley. I know the other one name is Hannah. But there was a TikTok about one of them being the single twin. I think Haley once dated Ferguson of the Cowboys. I don't know if they're still an item. So I don't know if now both twins are off the market or if this was just a tease kind of that TikTok. I don't even know when that TikTok was filmed, that everyone knew that Hannah was going to be dating Carson Beck. But if you had to give me a Heisman pick right now, it would be Carson Beck. I know Ohio State is supposed to have a monster season. Oregon, I love Dylan Gabriel. He's in a better spot than Bo Nix was when he first walked on the campus in Eugene. Texas obviously has big expectations as well, but we'll see what's going to happen going into the SEC. You got Jalen Milroe still at Alabama. Now, Kalen DeBoer was a national championship game a year ago with Washington. There's always big expectations for Alabama. But Georgia, to me, is still pound for pound the best team in football. And I feel like Carson Beck is going to not only have a monster season where he could win a national championship, but I could see him. He'd be my pick right now to go win the Heisman Trophy. So those are some players of interest heading into this college football season. And as you know, quarterbacks always drive the train because all three of us gave quarterbacks. And then I gave you a +1 there. And no, I'm not talking about Hannah Cavender. I'm just talking about my +1. And that was Carson Beck into the conversation. Okay, when we come on back, is this Lincoln Riley's last year at USC? One big-time college football analyst thinks so. We'll take a timeout, update time. Here he is, Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Zach, we're sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with Life electronic device and pet health insurance. Dak Prescott quick to diffuse all the uproar of him being in a walking boot on vacation last week. Adamant, just precautionary after a couple of hard days of training. Avoid any possible issues flaring up with that surgically repaired ankle from a few years ago. As for the contract, though, Dak didn't shed too much light on his situation entering the final year of his deal.
There's been conversations back and forth, but for the most part for me, as y'all know, I've been letting my agent do that, especially as we get right here into training camp. Day one of training camp, my mind flips to just obviously helping my team and just doing everything I can within the organization and on the football field to make sure that I'm my best.
Elsewhere, Klay Thompson met the media for the first time as a Maverick, explained part of the reason he felt he needed that change from Golden State.
Sometimes change just can spur greatness, and a new change of scenery can do wonders, and I'm very grateful for my time at Golden State, but I just felt like, moving on could just re-energize me and do something special for the rest of my career.
Pistons and Cade Cunningham reportedly agreeing to a 5-year, $224 million max rookie extension. And Dodgers and Phillies tonight, Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber expected back off the IL. I'm Marco Belletti.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X and like us on Facebook. Our handle is @INF Sportsnet on X and INF Sportsnet for Facebook.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
Can I make my lame comment of the week? Something that you guys will probably clown me about, but I'm okay. I'm comfortable in my own skin. My week's kind of ruined. And it goes back to Sunday, when usually the Real Housewives of New Jersey does get released. And because it was the 4th of July holiday weekend, they did not release an episode this week. So I was very upset when I went to my Bravo account and I went to go search for the new episode, And then nothing was popping up. I'm like, oh, maybe they're just delayed and it will come out on Monday. And then I read that there will be no Real Housewives of New Jersey this week at all. They took the week off of releasing episodes. Tonight, I will be watching episode 2 of the off-season Giants Hard Knocks. I thought episode 1 was really well done. I actually talked to Joe Shane, the Giants general manager. We were texting. And he said it gets sticky moving forward. Decisions that have already played out and rear view mirror stuff. I'm assuming that has to do with either Saquon Barkley or with Daniel Jones, because the first episode was all Daniel Jones this, Daniel Jones that. We got to give him a chance. You know, I'm very curious to see how they air the whole draft. And I don't know when that's going to happen, if it's going to be in episode 2 or episode 3, or maybe even 4 or 5. But they're reports from Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network, not like Joe Schmo. That's the second best NFL insider there is right now, with number 1 being Adam Schefter. If you were wondering my NFL insider power rankings, it would be Shefty 1 and Ian Rappaport 2. But I don't even know who would be 3. I guess Tom Pelissero would be 3. There's a lot of news about Tom Pelissero that always comes from him. But Rappaport talked about it. They tried to move up to the 3rd spot of the draft, and they were trying to go get Drake May. So, yes, they're saying Daniel Jones is their guy, but I don't actually think he is their guy. And then I did not know this. I knew they were doing this. There's no quarterback this year, but there's Receiver, the Netflix documentary. That where they follow the entire season of last year with receivers now in the NFL. They did it with quarterbacks a year ago. That does start tomorrow. So there's something else to watch. Can you guys name the receivers that are going to be featured in Receiver, by the way?
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson is in the documentary Receiver. So that's 1. You have 1, 2, 4 others.
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase is not in the docuseries or whatever you call this in Receiver.
I guess my mic is still not working. Travis Kelce, I know, was in talks for it. Did he end up agreeing?
He is not doing it, but there is a tight end.
All right.
There's
George
one tight
Kittle.
end. Yes, Kittle is 1.
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill is not in it. So you got 3 left here.
Any of the Eagles stars? A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith.
No, but someone that hates the Eagles is in it.
Micah Parsons? Deebo Samuel.
Receiver. Deebo Samuel is in it. Now there's 2 more. One is in the AFC, one is in the NFC. One is an egregious miss that this has not been guessed so far. One of the better wide receivers in football.
Devontae Adams.
Correctamundo.
Okay.
Now the last one. Very good wide receiver. Everyone knows this guy's a very good wide receiver, but I would not say he's a household name.
Are we talking DJ Moore?
No.
Something along those lines? Brandon Cooks.
No. Brandon Cook's a very good player.
McLaurin.
This player is much better than Brandon Cooks.
Terry McLaurin.
Close. Little bit better. I think this guy's a little bit better than Terry McLaurin, but the right ballpark. You're very close in how you're thinking about this. I'm going to say it and you'll be like, wow, how the heck did I not get this one?
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Bingo.
My man.
Now, let me ask you a question here. The Riveting Sports Series, this is the description for a receiver. The Riveting Sports Series follows the 2023 season of NFL receivers Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Do you think there's a chance that my interview with Deebo Samuel, where he hangs up the phone on me, gets played at any point in this documentary Netflix receiver? Because they did play the Eagles, and that was a big game last year. Like when they're following Deebo throughout the season. Now, that interview wasn't done via Zoom. It was done via audio. But, you know, like Netflix and HBO, they always like to throw some audio in the background. I was in that Manti Te'o docuseries when I was asking him a question. Do you think there's a chance we see a Zach Gelb Show sighting with Deebo Samuel being one of the receivers here?
Not only do I believe that there's a chance, I believe it is likely.
Really?
I believe that maybe not likely, but it is absolutely something that I would not be surprised with, and I think should be in there.
How great would it be if Deebo's like, yeah, I did some interview with this jerk of a talk show host. What a loser that guy is.
He's
has
not
to
wrong.
talk to me.
Yeah, very good point.
What a loser. That would be awesome. Now, do you think there's any chance that, our show's friendly with Justin Jefferson? not that we had any viral moment with Justin Jefferson. We did when he first got drafted, but I don't think they're going to use that. Do you think maybe there's some footage from the Super Bowl with us and Justin Jefferson at all?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So you actually think it's likely that Debo hanging up on me gets in the docuseries or whatever you want to call this thing receiver?
It was one of the bigger Debo-related stories of the offseason.
Yeah, and this is not, like, I know this is going to come off, Zach just hates Debo, which I don't. You know, I always thought that was a good moment when he hung up the phone on us. Debo's very boring, though. You know, I've talked to Debo multiple times. He's boring. Like, Davante Adams, what's the storyline? The Raiders don't have a quarterback, and you probably still want to go play with Aaron Rodgers. Justin Jefferson is fun. Kittle is fun. I think it's a good spot for Amon-Ra St. Brown to showcase more of him. There's a big personality with Amon-Ra St. Brown. But it feels like there's too many receivers here. You're doing 5? I could probably just do with 4 and kick Debo to the curb here. But I don't think you need to do 5 receivers. You know, I know one's a tight end, but doesn't that seem a little bit watered down, Samter? Doesn't it seem like that's too many when you go through 5? Like, quarterback was only 3. I don't even, it was Mariota, it was Kirk Cousins.
And Mahomes.
Oh, it was Mahomes, you're right. Which that was like the first time we actually found out something about like Mahomes from him instead of just hearing things from his brother and his wife.
I will say this, wide receivers are probably more interesting than quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah, there's more personality shown by wide receivers.
But also they're not quarterbacks, so I think having more receivers is probably better. Because, like, you know, how much do you really need to know about Justin Jefferson and...
Well, you have bigger names here than what quarterback did. Like, Mariota's not a big
Mahomes
name.
Is a pretty big name.
No, don't get me wrong. Mahomes is the biggest name. But Kirk Cousins is a fine name. But you have 2 of the top 3 wide receivers in the league in Justin Jefferson and Davante Adams. You know, Kittle is one of the better tight ends in the league. Amon-Ra St. Brown is on a team that had a very fun storyline last year. And, like, I just don't think you need to do 2 Niners. You know, you have Kittle, you don't need Debo. If you want to do Debo, then you don't need Kittle. That's just all that I'm saying. All righty, anyway, we'll take a timeout. When we come on back, is this Lincoln Riley's last year at USC? One big-time college football pundit thinks it may be. Also, Dak Prescott is in a walking boot. Is there any concern about the Dallas Cowboys quarterback and Tarek Skubal of the Detroit Tigers, who's the odds-on favorite to win the AL Cy Young? And I've named my fantasy baseball team after him, as I've been a big Tarek Skubal fan. He's going to stop by 25 minutes from now at 4:20 p.m. Eastern. Coming on back, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, away we go. Hour number 2 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Let's listen up. This is Paul Feinbaum, SEC Network, ESPN. He was on with our buddies Greg McElroy and Cole Kublik on Jocks FM 94.5 in Alabama. And Paul Feinbaum made it clear that this could be Lincoln Riley's last year at USC. Listen up.
It's not a matter of wishing him bad luck out there. That's already happening. And if you look at the reality, the number of players that are bailing on Lincoln Riley in Southern California is startling. I've always thought he was a really good coach, especially on the offensive side. But I don't think anybody today views him in that same realm. And quite frankly, I think he'll be out of Southern Cal at the end of the season. I don't. It's a matter of whether it crashes and burns, or whether he just decides he's got to seek elsewhere. But I don't think there's any way he is going to be successful out there. I think that train has pulled out of the station. And if indeed that happens, this is one of the most historic crash and burns in the history of modern college football.
I've never been more right about something than I've been about Lincoln Riley. Because every person, it felt like, oh, I love Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley is one of the greatest offensive minds ever. Lincoln Riley is this great football coach. Don't get me wrong. Lincoln Riley is a really good football coach. Lincoln Riley has coached more than a few Heisman Trophy winners. But even with all those Heisman Trophy winners or Heisman Trophy finalists, when he was at Oklahoma, where we know for a long time they dominated the Big 12 and now they're jumping ship to the SEC, they were a shoo-in to win that conference and get into the college football playoff like almost every year Lincoln Riley was there. But Lincoln Riley, I always said, who never won a college football playoff game, he's a very good coach, but not a great coach. And people would always get on me for that. What are you talking about? You got multiple Heisman Trophy winners. He's in the college football playoff every year. When you are knocking on the door for all those years, you got to at least win one stinking college football playoff game. I'm not even saying win a championship. You got to be able to win one. But I do agree with Paul Feinbaum on one thing. It's not that this is going to be Lincoln Riley's final season at USC. That would surprise me. But it does feel like the ship has already sailed on Lincoln Riley being successful at USC. Because fair or not, Lincoln Riley for 2 years had his guy in Caleb Williams at USC. The first year, they lost that Pac-12 championship game to Utah when Caleb Williams got hurt and he played through with the ankle injury. But then the following season, after Caleb Williams already won a Heisman, everyone knew that you had the best player in college football. Like, that was universally agreed upon before the season that the best player in college football entering last season at the quarterback position was Caleb Williams. And that team, because of his stubbornness to bring back Alex Grinch, his friend, the defensive coordinator, that team was bad. Like, they didn't even have a chance to compete for a college football playoff spot. How about even a spot in the Pac-12 championship game last year? So when you had a creme de la creme quarterback and you weren't able to get the job done with that creme de la creme quarterback, and now you're moving into a tougher conference, because the idea when Lincoln Riley, who was afraid of the SEC, and he took that job at USC, and I truly thought when he took that job at USC, he was like, okay, I could recreate with the mega brand what Oklahoma was in the Big 12 to what USC can be in the Pac-12. But now USC is off to the Big 10, a tougher conference than the Pac-12. And then you heard all these rumors that Lincoln Riley was trying to get out of the first game of the season with LSU. It's like, it's sad what Lincoln Riley has become. But if you couldn't get the job done with Caleb Williams, what makes me think now that you're going to be able to get the job done not only without Caleb Williams, but now you're moving into a tougher conference? So I don't think Lincoln Riley is ever going to be someone that, like, you look at and you go, oh, he's a bad football coach. But I do think people are catching up on the fact that he was overrated. Now, overrated doesn't mean you suck. Like, sometimes we overrate people, and then people hear the word overrated because it has a negative connotation, and I get that. And it's like, oh, Zach's a Lincoln Riley hater. No. I just think Lincoln Riley was a very good football coach and not a great football coach. And last year, you know, he opens up the season beating San Jose State, Nevada, Stanford, Arizona State, Colorado, Arizona. But it's like none of those games were big-time games. You know, maybe the Colorado game at the time, you know, maybe Arizona at the time. But then up against Notre Dame, the ironic part, it wasn't the defense that let him down. That was Caleb Williams' worst game. Now, I got to imagine at USC. And then after that, they just had this just terrible fall. They lost to Utah, who's the better team and owns them. And Utah didn't even have their quarterback in Cam Rising. They barely survive against Cal. They lose to Washington. They lose to Oregon. They used to lose UCLA. And then they're 7-5 before, you know, they win a bowl game and they beat Louisville. So I think now people are catching up that Lincoln Riley was never as great as advertised, but it doesn't mean like he's a bum. It doesn't mean like he's a bad coach. He was just a very good football coach. But there's limitations with Lincoln Riley. And my biggest concern about Lincoln Riley, and here's the crazy part, Samter, when it comes to Lincoln Riley, it's almost like he's afraid of the competition. You know, people talked, I remember being on Eye on Football the day it came out, where it was Lincoln Riley is going to be the next head football coach at USC. And then I think the reporting, if memory serves me right, they linked current at the time Arizona Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury to maybe replacing Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma. Like, I think that was the report. But let's not forget that a lot of people thought Lincoln Riley was leaving was because Oklahoma was moving to the SEC. And now he gets to USC. They don't win with Caleb Williams. They're off to the Big Ten. And there's been reports that he was trying to get that game or doing everything in his power to try to get that game canceled against the SEC squad in LSU. I can't have my football coach be afraid of the moment. I can't have him be afraid of stricter and tougher competition. And now it's like, okay, you were at Oklahoma where you were basically like a god, and now you go to USC, and USC will throw you out in a second, even though I don't think he's going to get thrown out because of contractually, even with how bad this year goes. But you were in a comfortable spot in Oklahoma, even with them going to the SEC. You can't be that stupid to think when you took the USC job that they weren't eventually going to leave, because that was just the changing landscape of the sport. And now it's like, okay, if it doesn't work out at USC, people will always be interested in Lincoln Riley, but where the heck are you going to go? Because if I'm a big-time college football program, I'm not hiring Lincoln Riley right now, because it seems like this dude is afraid of the competition and has limitations to how far he could take a program. He could win a program a Heisman Trophy. You know, in a 12-team playoff format, he get a team to a college football playoff. I don't think it's going to happen this year at USC. But he could do that because he was able to do it at 4. But he clearly set himself up for the easiest road where it's like, all right, let's dominate one of those conferences that aren't the Big Ten, that aren't the SEC, and have a shoe-in for the college football playoff. But now, with it basically being the Big Ten and the SEC are the haves and everyone else is the have-nots, Lincoln Riley could get a good job. But if I'm a big job in the Big Ten or in the SEC, and let's say Lincoln Riley finds his way out at USC after this season, like what Feinbaum's saying, I'm not rushing to go hire Lincoln Riley. For me, the greatness that a lot of people thought was there with Lincoln Riley, that ship has sailed, and I just don't think he is this phenomenal football coach like what a lot of people once thought. You got to turn your mic on.
This button is going to be the death to me. It works half the time. It doesn't work the other half. Lincoln Riley is a conundrum for me because he, like you said, he has all of these tools and he does things that other coaches can't do. But the star seems, and ironically, he leaves Oklahoma and goes to UFC, and the star seems to fall off. The luster falls off the star. I'm not ready to give up on him yet, though. I mean, he went to USC. He still had Caleb Williams. Yeah, they had a down year last year, but everywhere he's gone.
2 seasons of Caleb Williams, he couldn't win Jack.
Yeah, but that was more about the surrounding team around him. The expectations.
But he's in charge of.
Sure, but the expectations, how often do we expect a coach to go into a new program and do well right away? It doesn't happen. Usually we give him 3 or 4 years to get his guys in. I know it's a quicker turnaround now with the transfer portal.
But I don't think that's the case anymore. Now with he brought in his guys.
It is a quicker turnaround, but you still have to build your program up. Because as much as you can help fill in gaps in the transfer portal, you build your program through recruiting. So you have to give a guy still 2, 3, 4 years. Yes, a guy can maybe make a quicker splash, but you can't expect them to make a quicker splash until they really have a chance to build that program. So I'm not ready to give up on him yet.
Do you believe in Dan Lanning, who's newer, Dan Lanning, who is dominating the recruiting trail, and he has this great personality but has not won anything of significance yet? Do you believe more in Dan Lanning at Oregon going into the Big Ten? Or do you believe more in Lincoln Riley at USC based off his past more, that he'll eventually get it right? Because I believe in Dan Lanning. I would take Dan Lanning right now easily over Lincoln Riley. And that's a problem for Lincoln Riley.
It might be, but I also think that Dan Lanning is at the echelon right now of the college coaches in college football. I think Dan Lanning is right there, like at the top end of tier 2, right? If you talk about Kirby Smart being tier 1, and maybe Dabo because he's won a couple titles. So even though Dabo's on the way down, but there's a couple of those tier 1 guys. Dan Lanning is right below that.
But Dan Lanning is in the same spot. He's been at Oregon the same amount of time as Lincoln Riley's been at USC. It's been 2 years now, 3.
Sure, but I don't necessarily think it's an insult to Lincoln Riley to take Dan Lanning over him. Dan Lanning, I think, is among the best coaches in college football.
But the reason why I said that, if like 3 years ago I said, would you rather have Dan Lanning or Lincoln Riley? Everyone would be like, oh, Lincoln Riley's top 5 coach. He could get the Cowboy job when he wants it, right? If he ever wants it. Lincoln Riley is going to be one of the great college coaches. Then Dan Lanning comes along, and look what he's been able to do. And quickly, poof, it's like Lincoln Riley who? And I read this. It's from 2023, so I don't know what the numbers are now. But his contract, Lincoln Riley, is reportedly 10 years, $110 million. And in 2023, the estimated buyout was somewhere between 80 to 90 million. So I don't know where it is now. Obviously it goes down through time, but I don't think there's really a road financially. And I know Mike Bowen's no longer there, the former AD that hired him. I don't even know if there's a road, even if USC wanted to depart from Lincoln Riley where they could. And then here's the other thing. Who's USC getting if they get rid of Lincoln Riley? Because USC is far from the days, as beautiful as a place where it is, right? And the name, and obviously, but we are far from the days of the greatness of USC. And having Lincoln there with Caleb Williams, they were supposed to do something, and they didn't even make a college football playoff. They didn't even win a Pac-12 championship, and it's only going to get tougher. So I have been of the belief with Lincoln Riley that he's overrated, and we are now starting to see that, where now you can't even classify him as a great coach anymore. I used to call him very good. And now I think that's even up to debate. How do you classify and how do you talk about Lincoln Riley? So I'll get to this Dak Prescott thing coming up later. Dak was in a walking boot. He made it seem like there's no big deal about it, and it's just precautionary. I don't know. When you're in a walking boot and you say it's just precautionary, I know athletes are different than normal human beings, but it is something to monitor, and it is something to watch. So we'll jump into more of Dak Prescott and this walking boot, and now he's commented on it multiple times, and we'll get into a bigger conversation. The Cowboys are one of those teams that made the playoffs last year. They won the NFC East. I do not think the Cowboys are going to make the playoffs this upcoming season. How many teams that missed the play or made the playoffs a year ago, which it's 14, how many of them are going to miss it this upcoming year? We'll get into that conversation coming up later on in the show. But when we come on back, Tarek Skubal of the Detroit Tigers, he's an ace, he's a stud. He could be the best pitcher in Major League Baseball right now. He is a first-time All-Star. He leads the league. He leads the league in WHIP, and he's top 5 in basically every pitching category. And I've been a big fan of his. I am heavily invested in Tarek Skubal because in my fantasy baseball league, which is like the most well-run, well-organized, crazy keeper league in fantasy baseball, I traded for him a few years ago, and I've kept him through all the injuries. And I've actually named my team after Tarek Skubal. So it is going to be my honor to be able to speak to the great Tarek Skubal of the Detroit Tigers, who's off to the All-Star game. Will be pitching against the Dodgers on Friday, and then is off to the All-Star game where he could be the AL starter coming up in Tuesday's All-Star game for Major League Baseball. We'll be joined by Tigers ace and phenom Tarek Skubal next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty, we continue the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. My favorite pitcher in Major League Baseball is Tarek Skubal, so I'm in a very competitive fantasy baseball league with my buddies, and a few years ago, I acquired him via trade, and I've kept him throughout all the years. And this past season, heading into the year, I actually named my team after him, which is Scooby Dooby Doo, spelled Skuby. And man, he's really paid off to reward me for naming my team after him. He is the all-star, the favorite to win the AL Cy Young, currently 10-3 with the 2.37 ERA and 132 strikeouts in Major League Baseball. And he's Tarek Skubal, kind enough to join us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Tarek, congratulations so much on your success. Thanks so much for doing this, and how you been?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. So what are your thoughts on my team name in this fantasy baseball league, Scooby Dooby Doo, after you?
Yeah, that's a great team name. It's either got to be that or Scooby Snacks. You know, I think those are two good team names to have.
Is Scooby like a nickname for you, just wondering? Because I just did it as a play on words, but does anyone ever call you Scooby, just wondering?
Yeah, I'm more referred to just as Scoob. It's never my first name. It's never the full last name. It's more just Scoob. That's kind of how everyone in the clubhouse, calls me or try to get my attention or whatever.
Well, that's awesome. Hey, talking about awesome, your performance on Sunday, 7 innings, 3 hits, and a career-high 13 Ks, only allowing 1 earned run. Just how about what was going right for you in a season that's been incredible for you?
Yeah, no, it was a good day. It was a good day. Obviously, the guy behind the plate, Raj, called a great game, and I was able to execute some pitches. And then obviously our offense gives us enough runs and then blows it open late. So it was a good team win and a good sweep, to end a long road trip on.
Do you feel like that was your best start of the season?
Yeah, probably, results based. Yeah. I would say that was probably the best one. And obviously there were some factors that played into it. Our bullpen was a little taxed. So my focus was more just on pitching deep in the game, and I was able to do that.
Talking to Tarek Skubal right now, who's an all-star this year for the first time. What does that honor mean for you to be an all-star and participate in that early next week?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. What a privilege it is. And, to get voted in by your peers too, I think is an incredible honor. And then obviously to wear the Old English D down there in Texas will be a ton of fun. So, I'm really excited and I look forward to it.
Have you thought about maybe starting the game? Because I've seen the speculation that a lot of people think you're going to be named the All-Star Game starter.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I think that would be really cool. As far as, I don't really know if I have much say in that. I think that's up to the manager. So yeah, it would be awesome to do it. But I don't have say in that.
How do you look back so far this first half of the season? It's been an incredible performance by you. I know you've had some ups and downs in your career dealing with various injuries, but to see this level of dominance and what you've been able to do, I know you have one more start still lined up before the All-Star break up against the Dodgers, but how do you kind of put it into words what you've been able to do this first half of the season?
Yeah, I've just been healthy. My body feels good, so that's a credit to, the training room and the weight, the strength coaches that we got, and then obviously, how I'm being managed too, given some extra days here and there to kind of let the body bounce back. So that's what I credit it to. I'm feeling good. Pitching coach, Fett's been great. The whole pitching department too, with me and what I'm trying to do, game planning, all that stuff has been awesome. So, it's a credit to the organization for making my job, pretty simple when I go out there.
Tarek Skubal here with us. We see the intense competitor and you wear your emotions on your sleeve when you're on the mound, but it looks like you're very comfortable this year. I know you got called up during COVID in 2020, and that was a bizarre time. You had to deal with the injury in August of 2022, the flexor tendon that you ended up needed surgery on. Just wondering, when did you start to really feel comfortable at the big league level?
Yeah, I think it kind of started a little bit in 22. I started to string together, some good starts and got a little bit more comfortable with the coaching staff, the teammates, seeing the same kind of guys around the league and understanding how to get guys out, and then obviously understanding where my stuff plays. And yeah, I'd say, in 22, and then obviously been able to build off that ever since.
Going back to the Tommy John that you had in college and then the surgery that we talked about in August of 2022, we know what you could do physically, right? That's never really been in doubt the last few years, but there's a mental side of it when you go through so many injuries. Just had you kind of fight through those injuries and what you kind of do to kind of ease yourself a little bit mentally and not get too down, just wondering.
Yeah, no, I think the toughest part about injuries is almost always the mental side of it. It's not really the physical side of it. So yeah, it's tough not being able to play and do play the sport that you've always loved playing. And when it gets taken away from you, you got to, learn to grow and look yourself in the mirror and make some adjustments to your routine, nutrition, whatever it is, sleep, all that kind of stuff adds in. So that's where I kind of shift my focus, throughout those rehab processes.
Take me through your journey just growing up. I know that you wanted to be a basketball player, and then obviously you became very successful at baseball. You only had, though, one Division I offer, and that was to Seattle University that you ended up going to. Take me through kind of the origins of a young Tarek Skubal and how you landed at Seattle University.
Yeah, so I coming up through high school, always wanted to play basketball. My dad was a basketball coach, so I've always, loved that sport. And then, I played in the Arizona Fall Classic, which is like a, baseball tournament. Got recruited by one Division I school, took it, and the coaching staff up there at Seattle U was great to me, and the rest is history. Drafted by the Tigers, and then was able to kind of climb the ladder, and then get to the big leagues.
When did you start to think to yourself, hey, I could do this professionally? I could be one of the elite pitchers in Major League Baseball one day.
That's a good question. I don't know. I've always been pretty confident in myself, but as far as being one of the game's best, I don't. You just try to control what you can control when you're out there. So I've never really thought about that. I'm more focused on my process, which is just executing pitch after pitch, and that's how I judge my outings. And then, obviously results have been good, so far. So, I don't really know if I've ever thought of myself like that.
What was your scouting report? Give me the scouting report of you as a basketball player. Just wondering.
I was kind of like a, swing. I could play the point guard. I could, go down to the post.
Good 3-point shot.
I was a little versatile. Yeah, I could shoot a little bit. Pretty versatile. Could defend. Kind of just like kind of just a stock player. I was good. I could facilitate an offense, that kind of stuff. I think I had a good IQ at it, and understanding what was going on. But I was good, not great.
So when did you fall in love with baseball then? Just wondering, because basketball was the first love, like you said.
I think I probably fell in love with it, when I was in college. Basketball was always, the first thing for me. My dad was a coach, so I was kind of raised in the gym in that aspect. So probably when I went up to Seattle U, that's when I really fell in love with the grind, the process, and learned a ton about myself and obviously the stuff coming out of my arm.
I know you still got a second half of the season, but right now you're the odds-on favorite to win the AL Cy Young. Have you at all given that some thought that if you keep this up, there's a good chance at the end of the year you could be honored as the best pitcher in the AL with the Cy Young?
Yeah, I try not to think about that too much. I'm more focused on, when I get the ball every fifth day, putting my team in a position to win. So that's how I look at it. And, I'll let the accolades and all that stuff take care of itself at the end of the year.
Wrapping up with Tarek Skubal, getting to your next start, it's up against the Dodgers. I know you faced Shohei Ohtani in one game before in the past. He's 0-3 against you with the strikeout. You're able to get him. Just kind of take me through the approach of Shohei Ohtani. I know he's not pitching this year, but we know he's still the most feared hitter in the game with just what he's able to do anytime he steps foot in the baseball diamond.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to reveal anything, what I'm going to try and do, but, what a talent, what an opportunity for me to go up and compete against, one of the best teams in the big leagues. So, I'm looking forward to the challenge, and it'll be a ton of fun.
I know that you got to take each game and each throw pitch by pitch, but does it feel bigger when you step on the mound and I know the Dodgers have so many great players, but when you see Ohtani walking up to the plate?
Sure, but, you got to get back to your process. You can't make any pitch or any at-bat or any game bigger than the next one. So, as a player, you try not to do that and just be present in the moment and focus on executing a pitch. And if I can do that a lot of times, I like my odds.
Before we let you run, Paul Skeens, he's been sensational to start his young big league career, made the All-Star team after only pitching in 10 games, but that's how much of a sensation he's been. I know you're locked in on what you're doing, but just give me a little pitcher's perspective on what you've been able to see out of Paul Skeens.
Yeah, I watched it all the way through the College World Series last year. So, that player is incredibly talented, young. What he's doing right now is nothing short of amazing. And, I like watching him pitch, his demeanor, how he carries himself, handles himself. It's a ton of fun to watch, as a player. So, hats off to him and what he's been able to do and the success he's had so early in his career. So, hopefully he keeps it up and he has a long one and it's really good for the game.
Wrapping up with Tarek Skubal of the Tigers, his tremendous first half of the season is going to be an all-star, and we'll see him next week. For you, it's been a great first half of the season. There's been some trade rumors, though. How do you kind of handle those rumors with your name getting floated out and potentially getting dealt from now until the deadline?
Yeah, none of that's in my control. It's a lot of noise, and you just don't want that impact or take away from, what your job is and what you're trying to do every time out there. So it's not in my control. So, it's the business part of the game. And, I don't have any say in it. So that's kind of how I think about it.
I know it's not in your control, like you said, you don't have a say in it, but naturally, when you hear all these rumors, does your brain at all start to wander in a direction that, hey, maybe there is a chance I get dealt?
No, I really try not to think about it, to be honest. You get asked these questions and stuff, and, it's out of my control. So, as far as, my day-to-day process, I don't really let it cross my mind.
So if you do stay in Detroit, what do you think you guys are building there? What do you think this team could be capable of in the second half of the season and maybe down the road a few years from now?
Yeah, no, I think we got a good team, a good young core, a lot of guys that are learning at this level and developing, and we got a bunch of guys that like to work and work hard. So I like that. I like our odds. I like us finishing strong before the All-Star break, and then everyone getting a little bit reset, and we can come out hot, in the second half and see what happens. Season's not over by any means. So, I'm excited. I'm excited, for this team and this organization.
Well, it's been a joy to watch you pitch the last few years. Congratulations on all your success, and good luck coming up on Friday and then also next week with the All-Star game. Thanks for doing this.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
There he is, Tarek Skubal, joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Now, they're going to have me read something here about soccer. Can I just get a clarification? Because I know jack about soccer. What are we in here? Because there's like 9,000 things going on when it comes to soccer, Manny.
Copa America.
So this is still the Copa America. What was the other thing that was going on?
There's two tournaments that are happening simultaneously. Right now, what's happening on TV is the Euros, which is the best teams in Europe.
And you guys actually care about this because Manny keeps on looking over to the screen and dropping like an F-bomb every 3 seconds.
I care more about the Euros than I do about Copa America, to be honest. It's
100%.
Better football, but I digress.
How do you say that?
What?
Copa America?
Copa America.
I like how he says it.
Yeah, Copa
I can't
America.
say it like that.
Yeah, so right now the Euros, we have Spain versus France in the semifinals. Spain's up 2-1. Tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, we're going to get the semifinal first game, which is what you're going to read about for the Copa America.
Over here in our backyard in New Jersey.
Is Sergio Rochette good player?
He is the goalie for Uruguay.
Okay.
They play tomorrow.
Is that a proper pronunciation by Samson?
Uruguay. I'll accept.
Wait,
Uruguay.
Uruguay?
Uruguay.
I can't say it like
that. You got to roll the R, and you got to I can't do it.
Uruguay.
Yeah, there you go, that one.
Montevideo, Uruguay.
Marco, you want to try?
Well, Uruguay?
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
You don't mess with Marco.
Marco knows his soccer.
Balletti, baby.
A little bit.
All right, so this week it's Uruguay. Sergio Rochette, who shut out mighty Brazil in the Copa America. Manny, how do you say that?
Copa America.
Quarterfinals, then made a key save in the penalty shootout to lead.
Copa America?
No.
Oh, Uruguay. My bad.
To the semifinals tomorrow against Colombia.
Colombia.
All right, so there we
Los
go.
Cafeteros. Los Cafeteros. Colombia.
What did you just
Los
say?
Cafeteros. That's their team nickname.
Oh, okay.
The coffee makers.
Gotcha.
Cafeteros.
I was going to say Inglés.
You going to dub them? Is that what you're trying to do?
Well, you know what? I know some Spanish. Manny is actually giving me credit for all the people that try to talk Spanish to him around here.
Dump button is ready.
He actually says I know some things, and I can actually curse in Spanish, but I will not do that on the air because there are some people here that probably think you could curse on the air here in Spanish, but you still that's no bueno.
No, senor.
So if I'm interested in watching the soccer tonight, what do I have to look forward to? What do I have to look towards? Do you guys have any clue what you're talking about? You just pretend to be big soccer
tonight
people.
it's Argentina and Canada. So you get to watch
Canada?
Canada is in the Copa America semifinals. That's a shocker there for Canada. They're going against Messi. So if you want to watch Messi, the best player of all time, go against our brothers to the north, then tonight should be a fun game. Tomorrow is going to be even more fun because Colombia they absolutely smash-kicked Panama 5-0. They can score in bunches, and they're fun to watch.
So is the MLS, it still goes on during all this?
it's still going on. They didn't take a break for their season for whatever godforsaken reason.
So Messi is on Inter Miami right now.
That's right. Missing games for Inter Miami.
Where's the level of dedication here?
Are you
trying to be Mr. MLS, or you just care more about your country?
Or how about the commissioner of the MLS stop the play, stop the season during Copa America, and let the good players go? What a dunce! What a dunce!
You're taking me seriously here. I preface this by saying I know nothing about soccer. I was just having fun.
Copa America.
So who do you want to win?
In Copa America?
Sure, whatever.
Well,
All
I
the
mean, in
above.
Euros,
in tournament, so
in Euros,
All
I mean,
right,
the Spanish
first
are playing
Copa
well.
America. Who do you want to win?
Copa America, I will go with Uruguay because I've got some good friends who
And you
are
just like
Uruguayan.
saying it.
Come
that
on,
way.
Canada. No, it's all about Canada. Let's go.
Are you familiar with the work of Drake? $300,000 bet on Canada tonight to win, to beat the Argentinians.
Who made that bet?
Drake, Aubrey Graham.
Oh, Drake, Kendrick Lamar?
Yeah,
and-
that
okay.
gentleman. Yeah,
Gotcha.
$300K
The whole fight
on
that's
Canada.
going on right now?
$300,000 on Canada to upset the Argentinians tonight.
It's because he's Canadian.
Well, he also likes to waste money because why would you ever make
he
that
has
bet?
the money to waste. That's also another thing. How much did he put on it?
$300,000.
Yeah,
I do
to
believe
him,
that's Canadian.
that's like $20 to us. That's like $300,000 to him is not a big deal.
No, that's that. Well, I'm just giving you the news.
That's like me betting $25 on an anytime touchdown for Justin Jefferson this year.
Then how about you put down $20 on the Canadian team tonight, and we'll see how it happens.
I'm not going to bet on something that I just don't
come
care
on, show
about.
me something.
And who do you want to win the Euros?
I do like the Spanish. The Spanish are playing great.
Well, no, England's in the semifinals tomorrow as
Ah.
well, so let's go England. England, Netherlands tomorrow. By
England
the
are
way,
a
for
bunch of
Drake,
chokers.
he's staking $300,000 to win $2.88 mil. That's a nice bet right there.
If I'm Kendrick, I would bet the other team.
And
I
you
would
would
just add on
probably-
to the beef.
And you would probably win, kind of like how he is winning the beef right now.
Okay. So you're on Team Kendrick. here.
Oh, Drake is getting destroyed.
Okay. I would agree with that, but then one of my friends is a big stan, I guess is the correct
that's
term.
rough. A Drake stan?
A Drake stan, and he was very offended the other day when I said it seems like just from what I'm following that Kendrick is just dominating up against.
Tell him to put some icy hot on it. Man
He's
up.
dominating up against Drake. I did
Man
talk
up.
to Ice Cube last week.
Yes, you did. At the fan.
And Ice Cube said that he thinks this is very good just as long as it doesn't get violent or doesn't get physical. Then that would be bad. And
That would
I
be.
would agree.
Yeah, that'd be awful.
All right. Let's take a timeout.
Sure.
All right. Well, we'll continue to go to Manny for any pronunciations that we need with the fancy schmancy accent that I can't deliver to you. You know, I'm a four-tool talk show host. The fifth tool.
You're definitely the tool part guy.
Yeah.
That's good.
The fifth tool on the pronunciations is not my strong suit. Anyway, we will take a break. When we come on back, we will get in this whole boot controversy of Dak Prescott, as the Cowboys may give him the boot at the end of the season with his contract coming up. Update time first, though. Here is El Capitan Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Now, Zach, you just mentioned it. Dak Prescott heading to the final year of his contract. Cowboys trying to figure out if they want to pay Dak long term. As for that picture of him in the walking boot while on vacation last week.
Honestly, I'm getting older. It's the same ankle, right, that I snapped and had a nasty surgery on 4 years ago. So, a couple of hard days of training, and, you get a little sore, and then you're going on a fishing trip, and you want to protect it and make sure that things don't get worse.
So Dak trying to quell any ideas. He won't be ready for training camp, which begins July 25th. Jaguars pass rusher Josh Allen has changed his last name. He's now going to go by Hines Allen to pay tribute to the maternal side of his family. Mikal Bridges met the media for the first time as a Knick, and just like Nets GM Sean Marks yesterday, Bridge is emphatic he did not force his way to the Knicks and ask for this trade.
No, I mean, it's just not who I am. It's just not. It's just that's what it is. So I'm happy Sean had a chance to kind of tell everybody. But, no matter what you say, they ain't going to believe it anyway.
Pistons and Cade
You're
Cunningham.
playing a lot of lies, by the way, Marco.
So you don't believe Mikal Bridges now?
No.
Is that what we're doing? We don't believe Bridges?
Liar.
Okay.
Sean Marks, another liar.
Uruguay.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Infinity Sports Network, and it is the Zach Gelb Show. So Dak Prescott last week was seen on vacation, and he was walking with a boot on. Now, he's doing a youth football camp today, and he said, honestly, I'm getting older. It's the same ankle that I snapped and I had a nasty surgery on 4 years ago. So a couple of hard days of training, and you get a little sore, and you're going on a fishing trip, and you want to protect it and make sure things don't get worse. Literally, it's absolutely nothing. People are reaching, trying to make things that they aren't. I'm getting older and have to take care of my body, have to be smart. If I can't take precautions and lessen something by putting on a boot, I'll do it. Sorry that I caused such a worry. I don't know about you guys, and I'll just ask this to you, Samter and Manny. If Dak Prescott, can he be using this boot for precautionary reasons? Absolutely. Totally get it. But for him to make it out like this is no big deal, and that this is just, the media making something out of nothing, that I don't think is anywhere close to being true. You were obviously in enough pain, precautionary or not, and I know you had that serious injury, that you thought that to go on a boat and go on some fishing trip, that you had to wear this boot. So I'm not saying that this is like a mega deal. I'm not saying this is like the biggest deal ever, and now I'm worried about how many games Dak Prescott's going to play this season. But it shows that Dak Prescott's in pain, so I can't just simply sit here and just dismiss it and go, oh, this is media, this is social media making something out of it. It's not as if Dak is 40-something years old. He's 30, turns 31 at the end of the month. So I think that this is like a minor deal. It's something that I would say, Samter, that you monitor it, is the way that I would approach it.
Sure, and I mean, especially coming into a contract year, it's so important for Dak to make sure that he does stay healthy. Because, more so than him playing well, it's about him staying healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, if he has a mediocre year and stays healthy, he gets a big deal. If he has a big year and they fall short in the playoffs and he stays healthy, he gets a big deal. He gets hurt, that money could go, not poof, but I mean, that could be a serious hindrance on him getting a new deal with another team.
So I struggle with this because the last time he seriously got hurt, they still ended up paying him a bigger deal.
The Cowboys did, and the Cowboys are loyal to a fault at times. If he becomes a free agent, the Cowboys decide not to bring him back. Is another team
Well,
out
he can
there,
decide to hit free agency because he has that no-tag clause, and it's the final year of his deal.
Right, so my point is another team going to give a guy who is coming off another injury, who's had so many other injuries,
absolutely,
a $50 million a year contract?
Absolutely.
I don't think so. I don't think he's getting $50 million a year if he gets hurt again, really badly hurt again this year.
Absolutely, for two reasons. One, teams do stupid things when they're desperate looking for a quarterback. And two, we are now programmed ever since Tom Brady played until he was 40-something, that all these quarterbacks are now going to play until they're 40, which is not going to happen. So Dak turning 31 at the end of the month, and he'll be 32 next year, there's going to be a team that's willing to invest enough in Dak. But look at Kirk Cousins, for example, who, Kirk Cousins is 35, 36, I want to say? Let's see, Kirk Cousins' age right here. Yeah, 35 years old, turned 36 in August. Kirk Cousins just had an Achilles injury, and Kirk Cousins just got a huge deal by the Atlanta Falcons. So there will be someone, even if Dak suffers another big injury this year, that will pay him. And it's not because I think Dak is great, but teams, when they're desperate to find a quarterback, they do things that are stupid for just good quarterbacks. But I said last week that I don't think the Cowboys are making the playoffs this year. And the Cowboys last year were the 2 seed. They won the NFC East. They lost to the Green Bay Packers. Just give me a quick yes or no. We'll go around the room. No explanation, just yes or no. I'm going to give you the 7 teams in the NFC, 7 teams in the AFC that made the playoffs last year. Will they make the playoffs this year? San Francisco. I think we could all, right? We don't even have to go around the room. Everyone thinks San Francisco's going to make the playoffs. Okay, cool. The Detroit Lions. I think everyone believes the Lions are going to make the playoffs.
Yes.
Green Bay Packers. I think the Packers will be back. The Pack will be back in the playoffs. Manny?
Yeah.
Samter?
Probably. Yes.
I can't hear a word you're saying because your microphone's not working. Tampa Bay.
Yes.
I'm going to say no.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that they get replaced in that division by Atlanta. The Eagles.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think so as well. The Rams. Samter? Just a yes or no?
Yes.
Manny?
I don't think so, no.
I'm going to say yes. Do we get through everyone there? Right? Lions, Niners, Bucks, Rams, Eagles. I said the Packers, right? Oh, the Cowboys. I don't think the Cowboys are making the playoffs. Manny?
I think they do.
And Samter?
Yeah. I honestly think that, you know what? I think that we get all the same playoff teams.
That will never happen. That never happens.
I mean, who else? Bears, no.
I think the Bears are a playoff team.
I know. I'm not in on the Bears yet. Vikings, no. Falcons, maybe, but I'm not in on the Falcons.
I think the Falcons are a playoff team.
Saints, no. I don't think so. Panthers, definitely not. Cardinals,
Seahawks?
probably not, but maybe.
Can the Commanders?
I don't think it's crazy.
Commanders, Giants, no. Cardinals, not.
I would say
don't think
Cardinals more likely than the
Seahawks.
Commanders.
And I think
No,
Cardinals
not
more likely
I
than
think
Seahawks.
the Seahawks is more likely than the Cardinals.
I think the Cardinals are on the come. I think that the Cardinals are going to be real good this year.
Real? What do you mean by real good?
I mean, I think third in the division, contending
That's not
for
real good.
contending for a playoff spot. Well, I mean, if the other two teams are making the playoffs, they're contending for a playoff spot. I think all four teams are going to be contending for a playoff
The
spot.
Seahawks were 9-8 last year. I know we don't love their quarterback in Geno Smith, but they got talent there. Now they did lose Pete Carroll. Okay, AFC. Let's start here. Baltimore Ravens.
Yes.
Yes as well. Buffalo Bills. I'm a yes.
Yes.
Oh, Manny. Okay.
No.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Tell me another day that ends in Y. Yeah. The Houston Texans. I'm yes.
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 Cleveland Browns. I'm a no.
Nope.
No.
I'm a no dog.
Oh, so we're all no on the Cleveland Browns. The Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say no. They have a really damn good offense. Defensively, I think they're missing a lot with guys coming off injuries. And then how about the Pittsburgh Steelers? I'm saying no.
No.
Yes.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm a yes. I'm a big yes.
So I have Cleveland missing the playoffs, Miami missing the playoffs, and the Steelers missing the playoffs in the AFC. As of right now, just doing that quick exercise. And in the NFC, I had the Cowboys and I have Tampa Bay missing the playoffs, being the two teams that I had missing the playoffs for this upcoming season that made it a year ago. All righty, we'll take a break here on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. When we come on back, Big 12 Media Days, if you have not been made aware, they're underway. Colorado is now in the Big 12, no longer in the Pac-12. What's a successful season for Coach Prime this season in year number 2 at Colorado? And is there still a program in the Big 12 that can contend for a national championship? Because right now in college football, it feels like we have the haves and the have-nots. And for the most part, if you're in the Big 10, if you're in the SEC, you're in the haves. And then everyone else is a not. Can the Big 12, after losing Texas, after losing Oklahoma, can they produce a legitimate championship contender for this upcoming year? 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. We're coming on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Problem is,
4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, away we go. Hour number 3 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I did see that the Big 12 media poll did come out for this year in their preseason rankings as Big 12 media days are underway. And right now, you have Utah ranked number 1, Kansas State 2, Oklahoma State 3, Kansas 4, Arizona 5. I think that's very fair. When you look at the next two, it's Iowa State and West Virginia. I still don't know what to anticipate out of Matt Campbell as a head football coach, because a few years ago, I was out on him when they had big expectations, and he was like, oh, it wasn't my goal to win the Big 12. I never said that. And I thought that was loser talk. Now, they did a good job towards the end of last season. So now people are wondering what Iowa State could be. I think West Virginia could be really good. Their quarterback is a dual threat quarterback. West Virginia, everyone had their coach, pretty much just done. And last year, everyone said he was a lame duck coach in Neil Brown, and he had a very big season, and now they're heading in the right direction. But it does feel like when you get Cam Rising coming back from missing an entire season. Kyle Whittingham is the best coach in the conference in the Big 12 now. Yeah, Utah is deserving of that one spot. Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and Kansas, trying to differentiate them. And obviously, by the way that the votes did play out, you can throw Arizona too. It's very tricky to do. When you look at Kansas State, I like Kleiman. 2 years ago, he won that conference and won that conference championship game, and no one remembered it because of what TCU did that year. And TCU was Sonny Dykes Sr. won there in the national championship game, and they should have handed the ball off late to their quarterback, Max Duggan. But Chris Kleiman's squad did win the Big 12 championship a few years ago, so Kansas State's always good. Their quarterback, Avery Johnson, is now the face of the program. He won the Pop-Tarts Bowl MVP last year, and obviously was a 2023 honorable mention Big 12 Offensive Freshman of the Year. So he's someone to watch and what this next season's going to look like. We know what Gundy could also always do at Oklahoma State, but Kansas, it comes down to their quarterback. And can like Lance Leipold, I guess you could say he's one of the more underappreciated coaches in America. But when he came over to Kansas, how dreadful and how much of a doormat that program was. And not only has he made that program matter, but he made people think that this could be a very special season for Kansas, even with the injuries last year to Jalen Daniels. And he only played like 4 or 5 games last year. They still had a very good season. So the Big 12, there's some intrigue. But as you continue in the Big 12, it's like, what are these teams really playing for? When Oklahoma was in the Big 12, and you look at Oklahoma under Lincoln Riley, like they were popping out Heisman Trophy winner after Heisman Trophy winner. And even Lincoln Riley, when he dominated the Big 12 with Oklahoma, he couldn't win a college football playoff game. So now you go to 12 teams. Can they win a college football playoff game? Yes. I have a lot of respect for Whittingham, and maybe this will be his final season. They've already named his the coach in waiting, his longtime defensive coordinator, longtime defensive-minded guy. So could you maybe see Whittingham going through another conference change, now go into the Big 12 where he's, we saw what he was able to do towards the end of the Pac-12, where before last year he won back-to-back Pac-12 championships. Can you see Whittingham maybe winning the conference this year, and that's how he rides off into the sunset? Yeah, I do think that's possible. But when you look at this conference, you have some good teams. You have some teams that will be some top 15, some top 20, top 25 college football programs this year. But I don't think there's a great team. Arizona, I was very optimistic about Arizona. And then Jed Fish, right, he left to go take over the Washington job. So with the new coach coming in, you never know how that's going to work. But that's how I kind of look at the Big 12 right now. But still, from a glamour standpoint, in terms of a talking standpoint, Colorado is still the biggest talking point of what is now the new look Big 12, because it's that Deion Sanders kind of factor. And we know last year, Colorado only finished with 4 wins. They started the year 3-0. You had College Game Day running there. You had Big Noon Kickoff running there. Colorado was the epicenter of the college football world for the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season last year. And then Dan Lanning, right? That game was in Eugene. I remember Dan Lanning, who I think is an absolute football psycho, and I say that in a very positive way, where he was like, talk with your helmet, talk with your helmet. And he was just going nuts. He gave some line of like, they play for clicks. And I think he said and we hit or something along the lines of that. Whatever he said, it was great. And once Oregon just blew out Colorado, you saw this Colorado team just drop from where they were, the pedestal where they were. That Stanford loss, I still can't believe it with how big they were up at halftime, and they couldn't get the job done. But still, in a conference that isn't sexy in the Big 12. Like the Big 12, they got some good teams. We've talked about them. Utah, well-respected. Oklahoma State, always well-respected. Kansas under Leipold has been sensational. I love Kleiman at Kansas State. Arizona has some intrigue. Schools like West Virginia, Gus Malzahn's at UCF. Like there are some respectable programs in the Big 12. But there's no one that I would fear. There's no one that I would say is great. I know the conference isn't going to like when I say that, but even in a year that's kind of open, right? Saban's no longer at Alabama. Harbaugh left Michigan. You have all these changes and a lot of uncertainty in the sport. And NIL has made parity a little bit more prevalent in the sport. I'm not going to sit here and pretend when you expand the college football playoff that whoever wins the Big 12 or the teams that get in from the Big 12 are going to go on this great run. And you're going to see them in the Final Four, the 4 teams remaining in the semifinals, or even the national championship game. So I still do believe, even though the expectations aren't high for Colorado, and Colorado was picked to finish, I'll count here on the air, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th in the conference. I'm not going to tell you that Colorado is unbelievable and Colorado is sensational, but they're still the big, with them being new to this conference, they're still the biggest talking point because of the marketing and the intrigue that Coach Prime brings. Shedeur potentially being the first quarterback of the draft. Travis Hunter being the best two-way player in the sport. And ultimately, Colorado's season is really going to come down to, is this new-looked, revamped offensive line that's still changing, are they going to be able to give Shedeur Sanders enough time? But even at Colorado's best, what's Colorado this year? Like, I don't think Colorado is a lock to make make a bowl game. I'm not even thinking about them being a top 15 team that would put them in that position to go be one of the best 12 teams to get in the college football playoff. Like, I'm not even going there. This is a program that won 4 games last year after starting the year off 3-0. And one of those games they were lucky to win up against Colorado State. And I think Colorado is good for college football. I do. But you look at their schedule right now. Can you tell me there's a lock 6 games that they could win to be bowl eligible? All right, North Dakota State week 1, they could win that. They should win that. Nebraska week 2, I don't think that's a lock. Jay Norvell, I don't think he's going to lecture Coach Prime about the sunglasses going into that game. But, Colorado should be Colorado State, so there's 2. Baylor, I don't like the direction they're heading in, and Dave Aranda. UCF isn't a lock. Kansas State, they were picked top 3 in the conference. Arizona's a really good team. I don't know what to make out of Cincinnati. So if you want to tell me they could beat Cincinnati, sure, but it's not a lock. So you go through the schedule, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma State. Like, their schedule, their last 3 weeks, if those teams are as good as advertised, Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State, that's a tough road for Colorado. Now, I kind of look at Colorado, if they get to 6 wins this year, that's a heck of an achievement. That's a heck of an accomplishment for Coach Prime, but they got a target on their back. There's no doubt about it. Like, Colorado, they're a polarizing team. I do think like 50% of the people love them, 50% of the people are going to root for them to fail. I'm rooting for Colorado to succeed, but I got to be realistic. I got to be honest here. And I just got to break it down with how I see it. Colorado getting 6 wins, entering a new conference, and in a conference that even doesn't have a team that you look at and you go, okay, that's a bona fide championship contender this year. They're going to be a gritty, good conference. But they're not teams that I'm looking at that are like, okay, they're going to go compete for a national championship. And with how that schedule breaks at the end of the year with Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State, Colorado better win early, and they better win often early. Because as that schedule goes on, those first 4 weeks, you'll know a lot about this Colorado team. Because North Dakota State, Colorado State, those are 2 games that you should win. You almost have to beat Nebraska and Baylor. Because if you don't beat Nebraska and Baylor was picked just right below Colorado in the Big 12 media poll, if you don't start off this year 4-0, it's going to be tough to make up ground after that. Because there's not, I don't even think you could throw Cincinnati in there. But there's not a lot of gimme wins here on that schedule. And you look at how it is after, let's say, Baylor, and you look at UCF, they're projected to finish above Colorado right now. You look at Kansas State, above. Arizona, above. Cincinnati, below. They were picked third to last in the conference. So you go through this. Texas Tech, above. Kansas, above. Oklahoma State, above. That's rough. And it's a shame, too, because, I want to see Colorado be in a bowl game. But I can't sit here and throw out there and expect that Colorado is going to be bowl eligible. Santa, let me ask you this. Because I remember this time last year, we got into what's a successful season for Colorado. And if memory serves me right, you said they had to win like 8 games or so last year?
Yeah, more just because of the hype. The hype. I said bowl eligible for sure, but I said 6 to 7 games.
And I was in the realm of 4 to 5. And if they get to bowl eligible, people will be doing cartwheels in the street. And early on in the season, that expectation changed because they started the year off 3-0. Even with that back and forth sloppy game up against Colorado State, how many times in college football do you watch I guess you could call them a superior team to an inferior team, and the superior team struggles, but they just find a way to get the job done. And it's like, okay, you got by one that maybe you shouldn't have got by. Like, every team's entitled to that through the ups and downs of a college football season. But after they started the year 3-0, all you're asking for was 3 more wins after that. And they couldn't start the year off 3-0. And this year, you look at their schedule from a season ago. They started off TCU, which was not an easy game, and they made it look easy. Nebraska, close early, then blowout. Then Colorado State. Those were their first 3 games, and then they lost to Oregon, USC. They just beat Arizona State. They blew the game to Stanford. They lost to UCLA. They lost to Oregon State. They lost to Arizona. They got blown out by Washington State, and they lost to Utah. You look at this year, even now it being a year with having both Shador, Shiloh, Travis Hunter, and Coach Prime there. All right, North Dakota State, we know it's no walk in the park, but they should beat them. Nebraska's going to be better. All right, you should beat Colorado State, and then Baylor. It's not a lock, but I do think Colorado's better than Baylor. But it's not a lock that they start this year 4-0. And even if let's say they drop one and they're 3-1, they couldn't find a way to get 3 more wins last year. They're going to be able to find 3 more wins this year. I think this team is going to come close. But I think this is like a 5-win football team when I look at Colorado this year, where Shador will go win you a game on his own and probably win you a game that you don't win. But this is going to be a tough slaying for them. And, hey, if Coach Prime could get them to a bowl game, it's a heck of an effort. It's a heck of a coaching job. Because even though there's not a lot of great teams, there's some tough teams still in the Big 12. And this game is built in the trenches. And, yes, they revamped their offensive line. But how good is it actually going to be? Because the offensive line was terrible last year. And just because you revamp the offensive line doesn't mean it's going to be good enough to go win you 6 games in the Big 12. So what's your expectation for Colorado this year, Santa? Because for this to be successful, they got to make a bowl game. And I don't think they're making a bowl game this year. I hope they do, but I'm going to put them at 5 wins.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. They absolutely have to make a bowl. If they don't make a bowl, it's an utter failure. I understand what you're saying about the talent that's on the roster, but Deion has been there for enough. He has a quarterback that some people call a potential number 1 overall pick, certainly a top 5 pick and a first rounder. You have the best two-way player in college football, maybe the best skill position player in college football.
But the game's won in the trenches.
I get it.
You could have a Ferrari parked in your driveway. If you don't have tires, you're never getting that car out of the driveway.
I get it, but that's on Deion. And I understand that he's revamped that offensive line. He's revamped the defense a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's on him to make that happen. And if your quarterback is good enough and you have a player as good as Travis Hunter, and there's other skill position players that are good enough there, you can, in college football, overcome some deficiencies in the trenches. You don't have to be Michigan where you dominate everybody up front. Just be good enough to keep your quarterback upright to get the ball to the guys that can make plays. And if he can't do that in the Big 12, who lost their two best programs, and I know Utah's good, I know all these other teams are good. Arizona is returning a ton of guys. There's a lot of good teams there in the Big 12 this year. But if you can't make a bowl in the Big 12 this year, then that says a lot about Deion and his ability to build a program beyond just the buzz and the pizzazz and the juice. The actual substance of building a program, he might not be the guy to be able to do that.
But let's not act like it's foreign territory here. Now, a little bit different standard, but you had, for example, you had USC last year, right? Have the glitz and the glamour with Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley, who's been more of an accomplished coach in college football than Coach Prime. They were 7-5 at the end of the regular season last year. And that's with more talent on the roster than what Colorado has. You know, Colorado may have a huge name in Travis Hunter. They have a huge name in Shedeur Sanders. But the USC roster was much better built last year. And when you have flaws, they get exposed. And look how tough it was for USC, who started the year 6-0, and then they finished the season with only one win. So I look at Colorado, and it's great that they have Shedeur. You know, I think Shiloh's a better player than what people give him credit for. Travis Hunter is sensational. But if you can't find a way to give your quarterback time, then I don't think they're I just don't think they're getting to 6 games. They're going to have to beat North Dakota State, Nebraska, Colorado State, Baylor start off the year. And then they're going to have to get 2 more wins. And let's assume they're able to do that. I don't even think they'll be able to do that. You know, I think they'll start the year 3-1. You know, just for starters, maybe even 2-2. And if you start 2-2, then you got to get 4 wins against UCF, Kansas State, Arizona, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. They start 3-1, they got to get 3 more wins up against those teams. But last year, when they started off 3-0, everyone was like, oh, this team's going to a bowl game. I thought it too. And then got punched in the mouth by Oregon. Had a good second half effort against USC. And we know after beating Arizona State, they weren't able to win another game this year. I just don't think I walk into the season and I could say, okay, the expectation, it's a success if they make a bowl game. But if they don't make the bowl game, it's not like I walk away saying, oh, Coach Prime can't get the job done, because you got to remember the program and the state of the program that he took over. And you even said it earlier when talking about Lincoln Riley, who took over a much better situation at USC than what Deion took over at Colorado. It takes time to build these programs, even in this era of the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness. It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll come on back. Should Steph Curry leave the Warriors? And who should take the last shot for Team USA? We'll get into all those storylines when we return right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, we'll do a little basketball here. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Let's get to Steph Curry. Now, usually when Steph Curry gets asked about his future with the Warriors, it's always, I'm a Golden State Warrior, I'm a Golden State Warrior, I want to finish my rest of my career in Golden State in the Bay Area, and that's it. But listen up, this was Steph Curry with Yahoo Sports on his future with the Warriors, and you listen to kind of figure out if you're hearing what I'm hearing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I can clearly say I want to be a Warrior for life. That's always been my goal. And I'm saying that sitting in this chair right now. But like you said, life and especially life in the NBA, it is a wild environment, and things change quickly, and the league has changed quickly. So we're trying to adapt and evolve. And yeah, until that, I'll let everybody know if that changes. But right now, like, of course, the goal is always to be to finish my career with one team.
That was a yeah, but if I've ever heard one. Because usually with Steph Curry, it's I'm a Warrior, I'm a Warrior, I'm a Warrior. And there's nothing about, oh, you never know in the NBA. But now seeing that Klay is no longer with him, and he still wanted to continue his career with Klay, it was not the right thing, though, for the Warriors to bring back Klay Thompson, and he got introduced today as the newest member of the Dallas Mavericks. But remember, this is an organization the last 2 years, and Steph is probably a part of this because he's part of calling the shots, too. That they tried to double down on their past instead of building the next championship team. And I know they traded for Buddy Hield. We'll see if Lauri Markkanen will end up there. But Steph Curry is in his mid-30s now. Steph Curry is still a great player, still a top 10 player in this league. But going back to the well with Draymond was a mistake. It would not have made sense to go back to the well with Klay Thompson, and Klay is now off in Dallas. But you know there's a relationship there, and you know how close Draymond, Steph, and Klay all were. So maybe this is one of those things where even though it's the right thing to not bring Klay back, Steph isn't happy with it. And I've always thought about Steph Curry, and I said this before, like, he should probably leave the Warriors. But I never thought he had it in him to actually leave the Warriors. You know, look at Dame in Portland. How long, when everyone was understanding of the fact that Dame should leave Portland, look how many years we sat there and said, Dame should leave, Dame should leave, Dame should leave. And look how long that took, because Dame didn't want to be the bad guy. You know, Bradley Beal, before he went to the Suns, how many years was it Bradley Beal should leave the Wizards? I felt like we talked about that the entire existence Manny Rodriguez has been on this planet for. And look how long and how late it was to Bradley Beal leaving, and what did it amount to? Nothing. You know, Steph still has some really damn great years left in him. And Steph is also someone that could leave the Warriors later on and go be like a three-point specialist to extend his career and play later than probably he should ever have. But you have 2 years left on this Steph Curry contract. This year and then the next year. And when I heard Steph Curry's comments the other day to Yahoo Sports and Vince Goodwill, that was the first time I actually thought maybe Steph has it in him to leave the Warriors. And maybe realizing that he's not going to end his playing days in Golden State with the Splash Brother in Klay Thompson, maybe that was the moment, the aha moment, where Steph can sit there and go, okay, if it could happen to Klay, even though we know Steph, all-time great, Steph is in a higher standing than Klay Thompson. And it's nothing against Klay. Klay, unfortunately, had a ton of injuries that were detrimental, right? And stunted his continuation of being a great player in the NBA. But if it happened to Klay, then maybe that's Steph saying, okay, I could leave as well. I still don't think Steph wants to be that bad guy. I still don't think Steph wants to be viewed, because no one would look at Steph and be like, oh, damn you for leaving, Steph. I think it would be a thank you for what the heck Steph Curry has done, and people be understanding of it. But that to me sounded like someone that if it was at like 100% he was finishing his career 2 weeks ago in Golden State, now that sounds like, oh, it's at 75%. But I do think the best thing for Steph would be eventually to leave. Because, like, if they try to make this right in Golden State, like a year from now or at the deadline, do they go calling for Kevin Durant? Like, that'd be fun. You know, you bring back KD and Steph, that's a dynamic duo that could go, you know, go take care of something. But I don't think KD is ever going to humble himself and check his ego at the door to allow him to basically have his tail in between his legs crawling back to Golden State. You know, the LeBron ship, or do we do this song and dance every year? We know LeBron wants to play on the same team as Steph Curry, but LeBron just signed an extension with the Lakers, even though it's basically a one-year contract. So I don't know if there is a player right now that really moves the needle that's realistic for the Warriors to get that puts the Warriors back in championship contention. And in a league now of dynamic duos, I do think it would behoove Steph to start to draw up his departure from the Bay Area. I still don't know if he has it in him, but at least him saying that, I thought was a big first step of, yeah, I'll dress it up like I want to say, but you never know how things play out in the business side of the NBA. I also want to play you Anthony Edwards. This is Anthony Edwards on his place on Team USA.
I'm still the number one option. Yeah. I mean, y'all might look at it differently. I don't look at it no differently. I just go out there and be myself, shoot my shots, play defense, and, you know, they got to fit in and play around me. That's how I feel.
So I respect the confidence from Anthony Edwards. I know Manny Rodriguez is laughing, but that's what makes Anthony Edwards great. He's the most confident player, and he thinks he's the best player anytime he steps foot in the basketball court. But there's two different sides of Anthony Edwards. Now, we didn't pull it, but Anthony Edwards did another interview where he's like, the most excited part about the Olympics that I'm looking forward to is playing alongside Kevin Durant, because he grew up idolizing Kevin Durant, and he even said in that interview, and I can't wait to see KD make like one big shot at the end of the game. So, yeah, probably Kevin Durant on this team. Game on the line, who gets the ball? It's Kevin Durant. But the guy that has the most confidence on this team, it's by far and away Anthony Edwards. And that's what makes Anthony Edwards so great.
I mean, he's just so entertaining in the way that he plays basketball and just his comments off the court. There's part of me that, thinks that he's trolling, that he just wants to get a quote, but there's also part of me that genuinely believes that he thinks he's a number one option on the team.
I don't think he's trolling. I think that's him having a competitive level and a confidence that to be great, you need to have. And some people may think it's cocky. Well, like, great athletes are cocky.
If people find it to be cocky, I don't find it to be cocky at all. I find it to be rather humorous, entertaining. And again, I find it as trolling. I mean, I do believe he is going to get up to that level at some point, just not right now. On a team with Kevin Durant, LeBron James. Again, he's going to be a hell of a basketball player. He's so entertaining. I love Anthony Edwards.
He's a top 10 player in the league right now.
This is a funny cut, though. He's got jokes.
It definitely is funny, but let me ask you this. Game's on the line. You need someone to hit a big shot. I'll go through the whole roster right now. You tell me you're taking over Anthony Edwards. Bam Adebayo? No. Devin Booker? No. Steph? Okay. Absolutely. Anthony Davis? No. You tell me if you disagree with any of these, Manny. Kevin Durant? Okay, I could see Durant getting the ball. And that's what I think the answer is. Durant over Anthony Edwards. Joel Embiid? No. Well, don't lie. Joel Embiid's a heck of a player. But no. The next name I think is going to make Manny.
Is it going to be Tyrese Halliburton?
Yeah, I was
get this guy out of here.
Potentially just die on the spot.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton, no. Drew Holiday, no.
Maybe a defensive stop.
LeBron doesn't even. Yeah, sure. LeBron is passing up the ball.
Yeah, I don't think I'd take LeBron over Anthony Edwards.
How about this, Kawhi Leonard?
No. I think I'd rather have Anthony Edwards to take the J.
Did you see the video of Kawhi walking into the hotel and getting ready for practice and everything?
I'm not going to lie. I saw the photo that they took of Team USA, and I'm staring at one player, and I think he was wearing the number 8. And I'm looking at him like, who the heck is this? That's a pretty good impression. And it was Kawhi Leonard. I didn't even think he was healthy enough to play for Team USA.
This is my point. Like, if he's healthy, sure, maybe he can be one of those guys taking the shot.
He was unrecognizable.
The video of him walking into the hotel when they first were checking in and everything, he's got one of those rolling bags. He's limping. It looks like he's using the bag to, like, support himself. That's how bad of shape he looks to be in. Now, again, we're all speculating, but it does not look like Kawhi Leonard is coming out there and taking the last shot for Team USA for anything important.
No, I mean, we know he's made some big shots in his career, but this is a guy that played in 2 playoff games this past year. I'm kind of surprised he's even playing in this. I really am. So we just go through it. I don't think it's crazy to say Anthony Edwards can be taking the last shot. Now, I would put Steph in front of him and I put KD in front of him, but he's a top 3 option to score the ball late.
Next Olympics, he'll be that number 1 option. 2028 LA? Oh, gorgeous. Right there for him. Becomes an American legend right in front of our eyes.
Now, is there a difference between being the number 1 option and being the guy who takes the final shot? I think Anthony Edwards might be the most right. So I think he might be the best player at this point in his career on the team right now. Right? He might be the guy who, like, he's going to score the most points. He's going to have the ball in his hand the most. The offense might run through him.
He's the guy with the biggest bleep you mentality on the court.
100%.
Sure. But yeah, he might be like the go-to guy on the team. But if you're talking about a last shot, that's different, right? Then you go to your veteran. You go to your guy, Steph Curry, who has multiple MVPs and multiple titles. Kevin Durant, 2 finals MVPs. That's who you go to for the final shot. But the number 1 option on the team throughout the game, I think, is Anthony Edwards.
Have we seen Anthony Edwards really have that clutch gene yet in the NBA?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was awesome this postseason.
Yeah, he was great.
And, like, clutch, too. Like, he made some big shots in big moments.
But here's the thing. Wait, now hold on. This is where Manny annoys the crap out of me.
Oh, yeah.
Here you are ready to throw a parade about the Knicks losing in the second round.
Oh.
The Timberwolves got They beat the Nuggets. They got farther than the Knicks.
Correct.
And here you are like, well, what did that really materialize?
This isn't an indictment on the Minnesota Timberwolves.
No, but I just know the games that you play.
What games?
He's the face of the Timberwolves franchise.
Wonderful. Okay, that's great. What does that have to do with the conversation?
Well, you totally just dismissed what Anthony Edwards did.
How?
You're like, what has he really done?
I did not ask that. I asked if he's shown that clutch gene.
Yeah, I would say so with the run that he just had.
All right, then I'll have to go ahead and cut some more tape of, fourth quarters that Anthony Edwards has put together and see if I trust him with 2 minutes left in the game to go get me a bucket. Kind of like KD has proven, how Steph has proven.
Here's the bigger part of the conversation. Are any of these games even going to be that close? Where they're going to need a big shot late?
Yes.
Yeah, the game against Spain in the gold medal game.
I'm just saying.
Listen, the U.S. does not.
This is a heck of a team.
Sure. The U.S. does not dominate these international competitions nearly as much as they used to in the past. And they almost lost to Cooper Flagg, 17-year-old, in a scrimmage. I mean, I know it doesn't matter that much, but we're talking about the best teams in the world. And you look at the NBA, there's so many star international players. The U.S. isn't necessarily the end-all, be-all to win the title. Win the gold.
That French team looks loaded.
You don't think they're going to win the gold?
No, I think that they will win the gold, but I'm not saying that they're like the heavy favorite to win the gold. They're probably the favorite to win the gold, but if they won silver or bronze, I don't think anybody would be shocked.
I'd be shocked.
I did hear somebody say this team from top to bottom has a better overall roster than the 92 Dream Team.
Oh, who said that?
I have to look it up and see who it was. It was obviously an online, Twitter hot take, but I mean, you look at this roster, it's pretty stacked. I just don't think it competes to that 92 team.
Now, was this someone credible or was this just like some influencer?
I have to double check because I remember seeing.
Was this like Moist Mike 236?
Was this Ryan Hickey by chance?
It was somebody on Twitter who garners enough attention that people notice what he said, but they all clowned him.
I think the word you're looking for is ass clown.
I was going to say attention.
Because there is no chance.
2024 USA team better than the Dream Team?
It's not better than the 96 team. Never mind the 92 team.
96
Stop
Atlanta?
It. Stop it.
Wow.
Oh.
Stop it.
You know who it was?
Ryan Hickey.
Danny Parkins.
Danny Parkins, who is an Odyssey guy. He was filling in for Colin Coward.
Love Danny. No chance in hell.
This is the most talented Team USA roster we've ever had. It's top to bottom more talented than the Dream Team.
Asinine.
Did he forget the 08 team?
Here is the awful announcing headline. Marco Belletti thinks Danny Parkins is an ass clown.
For statements like that, you deserve it. Asinine. I'm sorry. That's asinine.
Can I also ask another question here?
Sure.
No.
Do you really care what USA does in the men's Olympics?
I love basketball, yes.
You do. Samter?
If they don't win the gold, then I care. If they win the gold, ho-hum.
Okay. Marco?
That's fair. That's totally fair.
I just don't care.
Look, I don't care. But it is a bit embarrassing in the fact of this team. When they didn't win, what was that? What was the Steph Marbury year? Was that 04?
04, yeah.
And they didn't even get a medal.
They got bronze.
That's a disaster. That can't happen. It's just because there's too much talent. So it can't happen because from that standpoint. Am I going to tell you that I'm going to sit here and watch these games and root hard like I'm watching my own
I don't
team?
think you care.
No. But, maybe that's the arrogance of the Americans that we all have. You should go out there and dominate, and you should win.
You more a Winter Olympic guy or Summer Olympic guy?
I got to be fair. I'm not an Olympic guy. I'll watch some events. I enjoy some certain things. I like a good luge. I'm good with the curling.
What kind of luge are you talking
about?
But,
I mean, come on. I can't sit here and tell you that I'm watching all these events like I'm watching football on Sunday. It's just not the same.
I'm with you. I like it. If the U.S. does not win gold, which I think they will, am I going to sit here and pretend like I'm miserable? People will be like, I'm a bad American. I don't care. So there we go. We'll do a news before we come on back to wrap up the show. Here he is, Mr. USA. Some may say he may be running for president. Could be a good option right now. Capitan Marco Belletti.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Zach, picture of Dak Prescott on vacation in a walking boot caused quite a stir, likely invoking a range of emotions from Cowboys fans as Dak is entering the final year of his contract. But Dak was quick to put a pin in all the panic.
Literally, it's absolutely nothing. That's why I said people are reaching, trying to make things that they aren't. I'm getting older, have to take care of my body, have to be smart. And if I can take precautions and lessening something by putting on a boot, I'm going to do it. And so sorry that it caused such a whirlwind.
Dak will make $29 million this year, final year of his contract. Dallas looking to reach their first conference title game since '95 and decided they want to keep Dak long term. Meanwhile, Klay Thompson officially introduced as a Maverick after 13 years with the Warriors. So why did Klay eventually pick Dallas?
Dallas was so attractive because of the young players they have, the style of play, the world-class treatment these players get from this organization, and just a beautiful city who loves their hoops.
Pistons and Cade Cunningham reportedly agreeing to a 5-year extension, $224 million. Dodgers and Phillies first of 3 tonight, possible playoff preview. Philly getting 2 big pieces back as Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber activated off the IL. It'll be Zach Wheeler hooking up with Bobby Miller. I'm Marco Belletti.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Infinity Sports Network. That's Infinity Sports Network to follow us on Instagram.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. From the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam and just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. All right, let's get you up to date in the world of sports with some audio. We get to the news brief.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Last time we heard from Jeff Darlington in regard to the Tua Tagovailoa contract was they were giving him an offer below market value, lower than what Jared Goff got per year, lower than what Trevor Lawrence got per year. Here's the latest from Jeff Darlington. He updates Tua Tagovailoa's contract negotiations on ESPN.
While I can't say that there's anything imminent in terms of a deal as we inch closer to training camp, I can at least tell you that there have been active negotiations since then. They continue to try to get this done with a very amicable approach. It does not feel like this is going sideways by any means. I still think we'll have to wait and see if it gets done before the season.
I don't think this is going to get done. I'm not saying it can't. I don't think it should, though, get done. I would make Tua Tagovailoa go show his worth one more year, and if you have to pay him more after that, then I'm all fine with that. Let's hear from Klay Thompson. Why did he elect to join the Dallas Mavericks?
When I was watching the playoffs and I'm watching the Mavs, make a run for the championship, I just saw myself fitting in really well with this team and the personnel, and they look like they have fun playing with each other, and they play for each other, and that was very attractive for me, and that's really all I needed to see, and there's mutual interest there, and that's why I'm here.
No, the Warriors also didn't want you. And you were looking around and you said, okay, this team could use a shooter. Take a little pressure off Kyrie Irving, take a little pressure off Luka Doncic. And you thought you could be that guy, and I don't blame you. I think you're in a better spot now to win a championship than you were with your last team, even though you won 4 championships with them. Here is Klay Thompson on leaving the Warriors for the Mavs.
Sometimes change just can spur greatness, and a new change of scenery can do wonders. And I'm very grateful for my time at Golden State, but I just felt like moving on could just re-energize me and do something special for the rest of my career.
Klay didn't want to be there anymore. He didn't feel like he was wanted. He felt like he was owed something by the Golden State Warriors, which I don't think you pay for the past. You pay for the future. They've already paid for the past with Klay Thompson, and they gave him a lot of money when he was hurt. So I think everyone's trying to make this dramatic, and hey, Klay has definitely played into that. It was time for both parties to move on. It's better for Klay, and it's better for the Golden State Warriors. But the Warriors can't half-ass it. And they've already done that because a year ago they elected to bring back Draymond Green when they shouldn't have. Here is Paul George. He was on his Podcast P with Paul George, on why he left the Clippers for the Sixers.
I never wanted to leave L.A., right? Initially, I was not trying to leave L.A. L.A. is home. This is where I wanted to finish at. I wanted to work as hard as possible to win one in L.A. Like, that was the goal. to be here and be committed to LA. As it played out, though, like the first initial deal was, I thought, kind of disrespectful, right? Again, in all of this, no hard feelings, no love lost, it's a business, like you said. So the first initial deal was like 2 years, 60. So I'm like, whoa. 2 years, 60?
Hey, that's crazy, bro.
That's
That's great.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
So I'm like, wow, no, I'm not signing that. Like, now we're getting into the negotiating. Like, no, I'm not taking that deal.
2 years, 60? Like, don't get me wrong.
That's crazy.
You would take that. You would take that. I would take that. We would take 1 year, $1 million. But with how much the salaries are for NBA players, 2 years for 60 total $1 million? That's disrespectful to Paul George. And I think he's in a better situation now than where he was last year. Let's finally go to John Cena. I used to be a big wrestling fan growing up as a kid, and John Cena was my favorite wrestler. John Cena has announced he's retiring, but there is going to be a long, long retirement tour this year.
It's not going to end at WrestleMania. WrestleMania will be my last WrestleMania. Now, part of this business plan, I guess, that I proposed and they accepted, thank you, they, was me remaining in the WWE family in some capacity for an extended time to come. I've always said to the audience that the WWE is my home and I love it. And just because I physically feel I'm at my end doesn't mean I need to distance myself from something I love.
It's a long, long, long tour. And I get it, right? They're going to capitalize off the money. I have no problem with John Cena going on a year-long tour. But, man, I was a huge fan of Cena growing up. I met him once as a kid at a mall and with two of my other really good friends, and that was pretty damn cool. I'll never forget when at WrestleMania, I think it was at WrestleMania, when he beat JBL and he won the championship, and we were going nuts. So it's kind of crazy that now John Cena is leaving the WWE in terms of being in the ring, but will still be involved in some capacity like he made it clear. I wonder if Pete the Body Bilotti and EJ of the Maggie and Perloff show are going to shed a tear or two when John Cena says that this is it and actually walks off the stage for the last time. Anyway, fun show today. Be back tomorrow.
Like a good luge.
At 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Big thanks to Tarek Skubal of the Detroit Tigers for stopping by. Big thanks to Manny Rodriguez, working hard today. Michael Santer as well, and each and every one of you. All righty, we'll be back tomorrow, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Have a good evening. Peace.
I like a good luge.